Hey, Craig. How are you doing? I'm okay. Finally out of involuntary unpaid leave. Alright, there we go. Send out a few invites, see what happens. Hi, babe. Hey there, JP. Alright, how are you? Legacy's there in the chat. We'll be right with you. Hey, Oki. How you doing, hon? Hey, Nat. Well, have fun. Be safe. Watch your back. Recovering from surgery. Nothing serious, I hope. Hey, Shadow Creek. How am I? I'm alright. I'm alright. Just trying to get back into the swing of this. My involuntary unpaid leave. Oh, yay. Good for you. It's one of the things, whenever this app, allows me an involuntary unpaid leave, I have to build back my stuff, One of your intestines full. Yeah, no, that's not good. That's not good. Not good at all. Okay, Nat. Be good, hun. Hi, Matt Olson. Hi, Stacy Van. Alright, babe, I see you. Well, good. I'm glad. The meds they gave you hop you up? Oh, wow. That seems odd. I don't know what I'm talking about. I am not a doctor, so maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. The beef jerky is starting to smell. Yum. A lot of stress. I'm sorry, Stacy Lynn. Hey, Lee. Yeah, it says 8 on my side. Going to the Women's March on the 24th. I have not thought about it. I had not considered it. Not to say that I wouldn't. It's not entered into my brain. Thank you, Stacy Lynn. Cool. Yes, Miles, you are up late. Please remember we have a game tomorrow. Today. Hey, Bazinga. Yeah, I had to do the time calculations to realize what time it was. What? Why are you sorry? Oh, no, that's all right. I just thought you were saying genie. So, it's okay. I just thought it was an emphasis. An emphasis. You got driving lessons? Get your ass to bed, please. Yeah. I get that reaction from a lot of people, so. You're not tired. I think I'm gonna send both you and Legacy out for a run. Not a whole lot, Gen X Dad. What's up with you? I'm really in a mood. And it's a not good mood. Because it's the kind of mood that gets me in trouble. You know what I mean? What are you going to do when the fad is over and it's not cool anymore? Sweetie, 1977's been around. Been around since 1977. Okay? Come on. It's not a fad anymore. It's an icon. It is. Hi, Kiki. Granted, it's not new. It's not cool anymore, but it is an icon. So, you know. So, look, for those of you who don't know, all right. Oh, thank you, JP. My background is in theology. And you know there are fence jumpers to get in Star Wars? Not anymore. I mean, you can watch that shit on Disney Plus. You don't have to jump a fence to go see it. But my background's in theology and history, with a little bit of sociology throwing in there. But I really want to tackle the Ten Commandment thing. I really do. Because the rewriting of history that is going around right now is really getting under my skin. And the false pretense of what the Ten Commandments are, I mean, it bugs the hell out of me. Because, yeah, the rewriting of history. For example, Chucklehead down in Louisiana signs a bill that, you know, I think it's getting a lot of attention, this bill, about the Ten Commandments in schools. So, hey, Corey. And he made a comment when he signed that bill. And he talked about the Ten Commandment being written by the original lawgiver. Well, first of all, that's false. If you read Exodus and you read Deuteronomy, you know that, or is it Leviticus? There's another set of commandments, anyway. But if you read in the Pentateuch about the giving of the law, you know that the law was given, according to the story, by God to Moses, and Moses brought it from God to the people. So, first of all, Moses didn't write it. But even if Moses wrote the law, do you know where Moses would have gotten the inspiration for the law? And if you say God, the answer is incorrect. Where Moses would have gotten the inspiration for the law would have been in the Egyptian courts that he grew up in. Because when you study actual history and not rewrite this shit, you know that there are law codes that are 1,700 years older than the Ten Commandments. From what we know, best case scenario, maybe even if you believe in the older ideas of the Old Testament, even the oldest examples of law code that we have would still be 1,200 years old, older than the Ten Commandments. In fact, if you remember world history, which everybody in the United States should have taken, there is a very well-known law code that is older than the Ten Commandments and has many of the same principles laid out within it. It is a law code that was established within Babylon, and it was the Code of Hammurabi. The Code of Hammurabi is older than the Old Testament. So, to say that Moses was the original lawgiver, barring the ignorance of saying that Moses came up with them, he didn't. Moses was just a postal worker. We also see that the idea of the original law predates Moses. By quite a while. And we know that those law codes were passed from culture to culture to culture because we see the cultural influence of them. So whenever people talk about the Ten Commandments being the oldest law, that's bullshit. It's the rewriting of history. So people need to, first of all, get a grip on understanding and being educated about the actual historical providence of the Ten Commandments. And not only are the Ten Commandments preceded by multiple forms of law codes from other cultures that are older than the Ten Commandments, we also see that they are heavily influenced by the cultural surroundings. Meaning that the Ten Commandments were written for a specific time, in a specific setting. Which means that the morality of the Ten Commandments needs to be understood from the position of what time and what setting was it in. Now, people want to take the Ten Commandments and they want to put them on the wall in a schoolhouse. And I've seen people arguing, well, the Ten Commandments, these are just, rules that people can live by. No, they're not. They are written for a specific time and a specific setting. The setting and the timing of the Ten Commandments is that according to the story, the Ten Commandments is part of a covenant that God establishes with a certain group of people, meaning that it was not a universal law. The Ten Commandments were not given as a law for all people. They were given as a very specific set of rules and directives for a single group of people. That covenant that agreement, that relational contract, is established only with a particular group of people. It is not meant to be universal any more than the Babylonian law codes or the Akkadian law codes that came before. The examples that we have of older law codes were not meant for the universe. So you have this law code that is written for a very specific time, for a very specific setting, to a very specific group of people for a singular purpose. That singular purpose was to unite that group of people with the identified giver of the law, in this case, El, or Yahweh. Now, we know that this is the particular set of circumstances for the Ten Commandments. How do we know this? Because only 6 of the commandments have to deal with moral law in society. Only 6 of them deal with how people are to interact with each other. 4 of them, in fact, the very first 4 of them, are directly related to the connection between the people and the lawgiver. In this case, God. So the first 4 commandments are directly linked to the God who is giving them these laws as a part of this covenant. Now, a lot of people will start with the first, the first commandment, but they miss where it begins. Because a lot of people say that the first commandment is, you shall have no other gods beside me. That's not where it begins. It begins with, I am the Lord your God. That's where it begins. The context of it begins with this preamble statement, I am the Lord your God. And every one of these laws that falls after that are directly tied to that first statement. How do we know this? Because when you go back and you read the rest of the book of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, when it says, I am the Lord your God, it is a reiteration of why people should follow a certain set of rules. So the Ten Commandments begins with the statement, I am the Lord your God, you will have no other gods before me. You will not make any idols. You will not take my name in vain. You will honor the Sabbath. All of those relate directly back to the primary statement of I am the Lord your God. You cannot separate the Ten Commandments from that statement. You cannot make the Ten Commandments a moral set of laws because they are a theologically grounded covenant. All right? You cannot make this a moral set of laws. You cannot separate the law from the theological grounding that it possesses. And the moment you do that, the moment you keep that in that connection, you have now begun talking about a theocracy. A morality based upon a theological premise is a theocracy. And so, when people want to start talking about the Ten Commandments, all right? When they want to start talking about the Ten Commandments, and it's a great thing to put them in every school, keep in mind, these are not moral codes. These are not moral laws. These are not moral teachings. They are not moral principles. They are theological concepts. They are part of the covenant that was established with this giver of these commandments. You cannot separate the two, because when you separate the law from the giver, you violate the law. When you separate the law from the giver, you violate the law. Because you see, when you understand this, beginning with the statement, I am the Lord your God, but then you separate these 10 commandments from that statement, you violate the third commandment. You will not take my name in vain. You have taken away the root meaning of what the law is about. You have cast it off from its authoritative moorings. So it's no longer authoritative. It is just another set of morality codes with no meaning. All right? So, people who are coming up and saying, the Ten Commandments is, the greatest and the oldest form of law, they're rewriting history. But when they start putting the Ten Commandments in classrooms and they disconnect the Ten Commandments from its preamble, they remove the authority of the commandments. They're no longer commandments. They're just another set of moral laws, the first 4 of which have no meaning whatsoever. So the only way to put the 10 commandments in a classroom is to only put 6 of them up. That's it. Only putting 6 of them up. Because once you remove the first 4, because you've already disconnected them from meaning, from any understanding, because again, the first 4 directly tie to the preamble. Okay? I am the Lord your God. You will have no other gods beside me. You will not make any idols to any other gods. You will not take my name in vain, and you will honor the Sabbath. The Sabbath is directly related to the nature and the character of the lawgiver. So now you remove 4 of the 10 commandments. You only have 6 left. And those 6 laws are vague and debated. So, if y'all want to talk about this, I'll let you up.
I love you. I do.
Thank you.
Like, I'm so glad that I met you through ML. But yes, definitely. I agree with everything that you said. I am forgetting some of my theology in my old age and after running away from Catholicism like a crazy person. Uh, but yeah, there are a lot of things in the Bible that are taken directly from other religions. It's really interesting because someone in the comments, so JP asked me about God, like just asked a question, don't all gods all want to be the only God that is worshipped? And that is very much an idea that came out of Christianity and the Abrahamic religions, because no, like not at all. Like there are lots of other religions where there are multiple deities that all work in conjunction with each other. And they don't fight each other. It's like I tell people the religion that I relate to the most is Ifa, and Ifa is essentially the mother of voodoo. And there are many quote unquote gods that are in Ifa, and they don't fight with each other. Like, they all work in conjunction with each other. You may have one that leads you more than another, but
Mhm.
just because, mine may be Shango doesn't mean that somebody else is like, I'm going to poo poo somebody else, or like they're fighting with each other. It doesn't work that way. Um, which I also think is interesting.
Yeah.
When they asked the question, I hadn't even thought about it. And then I was like, huh, actually, no, that's interesting. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's it's the continued bastardization of religion. Like I
Right.
told ML, I was like, it's giving Joseph Smith. That's what it's giving. I went up to the mountaintop by myself, and there was a bush that was burning, but it wasn't actually burning. And then it came back down with this, and it's the word of God. It's giving Joseph Smith.
Well, and that's because of how the story has been telephoned. The reality is that there is no such thing as monotheism within the Old Testament. It's polytheistic with a covenant established between one God and a group of people. There are multiple gods that are talked about in the Old Testament. And those gods are worshipped, and there is a conflict that arises. Okay, there's a conflict that is prominent during the late historical period, the books that we know of as Kings and Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
That story, we read about Ashtaroth, we read about Baal, we read about all of these gods, in these Canaanite gods, going back even further. We even read about them in the story of the Exodus, because it talks about
Mm-hmm.
the
The Egyptian
pharaohs.
gods. Yep.
Huh?
Yep. The Egyptian gods, or he's essentially like, you need to prove to me that your gods are going to be stronger than mine. That's how they even got into the entire fight. You're absolutely right.
Right. But even more than that, all of the 10 plagues in the story of the Exodus, every one of those plagues is intentionally written in such a way, it's designed in such a way to attack the domain of specific Egyptian gods, either by symbolism or by attacking their sort of area of dominance. So even within the story of Exodus, we know this. You could go back to Genesis and you find multiple gods. If you go back to the story of Isaac, and you go back to the story of Jacob, you find multiple gods in these stories. So the Old Testament is not monotheistic. The Old Testament is the establishment of a relationship between a singular God and a group of people, and this singular God saying to the people, I want you to choose me over everybody else. It's not Joseph Smith, it's advertising.
So here's the thing. Could you imagine the chaos that would happen if it were taught like that? Is like, because you saying this is like, yeah, absolutely. Like, no, I remember these stories. I remember this coming up. And like, I went to Catholic schools my entire life.
Yeah.
No one ever actually pointed out the fact that, yeah, no, these not like monotheism in this area was not actually a thing, which is why there were all these other gods. So our God in the stories that we are telling, the God that we're following in this Catholic school, was proving that he was stronger than these other gods, and at the same time acknowledging the existence of them. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the head explosions that would like,
I mean,
because I'm
honestly, if
listening to
you,
you and I'm like, and I knew this, and at the same, like, I knew some of it. I knew some of it. And
yeah.
at the same time, I'm just like, holy shit.
Go back and read the parts of Deuteronomy that are the reestablishing of the covenant before going into the promised land. Not only is it advertising, it's a fucking stump speech.
Whoa.
It is God standing up in front of the people and saying, look, if you will let me be in charge, when we get into the promised land, you are going to have more fruit and abundance than you will know what to do with. You will live in peace. Your children will grow up to be smart, strong, and pretty. I mean, you listen to me and all of these great things are going to happen to you. But if you don't listen to me, I promise you, all of these other people are going to come in and they're going to take all your stuff. And they're going to take your kids. It's a fucking political speech.
So I'm a little shook right now because I'm listening to you and I'm looking at the comments and I'm like, yeah, advertising is 1000% a flex. Because that was beautiful. But also, I need to understand the entire context of the history of everything else that was going on at this point in time. And I do understand some of it, but
Right.
yeah, 1000%. Like, okay, so people are reading this book that was literally created for propaganda because we are at war with how many other nations? So follow us and move with us because, like, holy, there's like a little Catholic girl in me that was like 7 years old that got turned away from communion that feels very healed right now because it was all bullshit and I knew it was all bullshit, but goddamn. Like,
But it's not, and I don't mean this to rob you of your emotional context. It's not bullshit. It's story.
it's
It's the
wonderful story because
it's the
even
story
saying
of a people. And it's all of their ups and all of their downs and all of their success and all of their failures. There are examples of propaganda in there, and there are also examples of just pure, unadulterated, what the fuck were we doing in there?
yeah, yes, but the whole idea, like what you I guess what is making me think is okay, well now we have to go back to the purpose of why these stories were written because if you have one thing that's written where it's like okay, like I want you guys to follow me so I write this story, then you have to flesh out the rest of the story. So now you have to go back and you have to write Genesis and you have to write Revelations, you have to write everything else, but you're still, it's like Star Wars canon, right? Like
Start out with a New
like
Hope, and
it's
you gotta
like
move on to the prequels.
right. No, like legit though. It's like, okay, so this is like the Christian Bible as we know it is probably close to the original Dianetics. Like, that's a little, I don't know. I don't know. I'm telling you, 7 year old, like, I want to take communion, but I'm not baptized. Me is like, holy shit, actually.
I mean, the way to understand the Bible, and I mean this in Old Testament and New Testament, and this is where I get really, 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 really pissy, okay? The way to understand the Bible is that it was, within the context of its time, historical writing. It was, within the context of how things were done, historical writing. It was the same way that the Romans wrote history. It was the same way that the Egyptians wrote history. It was the same way that the Mesopotamians wrote history. It was the same way all the way through history. The Bible is a historical document. It is a telling of a story. It's the writing of the story of the people based upon the telling of the stories of those people throughout their life. If we trust any document to provide us a glimpse into any other group of people in the history of the world, then we also have to trust the Bible to tell us the story of those people.
For me, the way that I view the Bible is one needs to keep in mind, firstly, when it was written. Secondly, who it was written for. And third, who it was written by.
Mhm.
And I did in the conversation.
No, I guess that's kind of what I'm thinking though. It's like I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, but what? So to your point, right? I agree it's a historical document. I definitely agree more so the Old Testament. There are things in the New Testament that I'm just like, but for real, did you really? Okay, we turned like one loaf of bread into 30, sure. So there are things that are in the New Testament that are very much parable like to me, but Old Testament, yes, I do think it's a historical document. I
But
think that's the question, like, what is it written for when you have a practice of embellishment in order to move minds? Like, you have a practice of writing history wrapped in propaganda.
So let me ask you this one question. What part of Julius Caesar do you throw out of history?
Et tu, Brutus.
Yes, throw Et tu, Brutus out of history because it didn't happen. But
Yeah,
it
that
is a
was
great
Shakespeare.
Right. But it is a great story. But like I don't necessarily think that you need to throw it out of history so much as you have to put it into context of I mean literally what you just said where it's like, hey, this is how they were writing during that time. You have to put it into the context of that where yes, like, Fantastic Beast and Where to Find Them is not like an actual thing, you know?
Right. And like the whole,
like,
if we're talking about Julius Caesar, the Shakespearean play, that shouldn't be in the history section anyways. That should be in drama and playwrights and such. There are
Yes.
plenty of other sources that you can use as historical sources. Suetonius, Livy. I think
Yeah.
Cicero even wrote about it.
but like similarly, we can also look at how the Egyptians and Greeks wrote their history down. They had the story of Hercules, for example. We know that a man did not actually do all those trials, and that the Hydra doesn't exist, for example. But it still gives us insight into what people believed at that time and how they saw the world and how they taught morality to one another.
Right. So here's a question: how are we defining history? Because we can have things that, like you're saying, points and give us like an ethnographic overlook of what people believed, and that could influence how they set up their laws and their cultures. But is it actually a documentation of what happened?
No. And this is I mean, ML, I don't know if things have changed since I was, in school, but history is the events of the past. It is the telling of the events of the past, and it is the studying of the telling of the events of the past.
Correct.
Wait,
It's
sorry, I was
multi-layered.
breaking up. Can you say that again?
History is the events of the past, the writing about the events of the past, and the study of the writings about the history of the events of the past.
Correct. So, like,
The study of the writing of the history is actually historiography. It's a completely separate study.
But what I'm
And it's a
saying,
pain
though,
in the
ML, is that we don't get access to Julius Caesar. We have to study the writings of Julius Caesar to get to the events of Julius Caesar.
yes.
I know that the study of historical writing and historical writers is historiography. But what I'm saying is that the only access that we have to the events is through the writing of those events.
Yes.
In a lot of cases, yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I
Like,
almost get where Emma was going with this, where it's like, okay, you have the events that happen that we can't know precisely how those events happen, so you have to look at several different things in order to kind of piece together the realistic story. Because Moses,
absolutely.
and I guess that's the thing. It's like, is it history that Moses went up on a mountain and there was a burning bush and he heard the voice of, I like, honestly, it's possible.
So, like, I'll
Maybe
give an
he was on
example.
shrooms.
I'll give an example of something that I'm dealing with right now in my dissertation. Is I'm looking at a particular episode in Roman history, which was the Bacchanalian crisis of 186 BC. The only evidence that we have that this thing happened is one inscription that was found in southern Italy. That was basically a senatorial decree, the Senatus Consultum de Bacchanalibus, that tells us this thing happened. The Senate actually tried to squash this cult that was there in Rome. But then we have Livy, who is writing nearly 200 years later, who gives us this dramatic retelling of what happened. Like Cloak and Dagger was a conspiracy. Like no evil that was ever done in Rome during this time was done by anybody else but this cult. And so we look at Livy, and every scholar that has spent their entire lives studying Livy is sitting here saying this is not history. This is propaganda. So, like, even though he's writing about a historical event and like one particular moment that happened, he's creating this life, this drama around it that according to scholars, it takes it out of the realm of history.
So, where I see that line is what we define as history are the things that can be corroborated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if the Cloak and Dagger is not corroborated in another account or in some form of, some form of notation, we look at those things that cross over. And we determine at that point that, okay, here's what we know about the event. Everything else is, point from more recent history. What is the point of George Washington chopping down the cherry tree?
It's an exemplar. It's a created story in order to instill some sort of value or moral value within the character that everybody is supposed to emulate.
Exactly. You all are talking about the Red Sea down in the bottom, and there's been a lot of effort to create speculative science and very dodgy archaeology to explain that. The point is that story is about one thing and one thing only: deliverance. It's about bringing a people from one place to another place against impossible odds.
You know what it is? It's wild. Like you say that, and like it just hit me. It's literally every single one of our parents talking about how they had to go to school. That's literally what it is. It's literally when I was your age, I had to walk through 20 feet of snow and 80-mile-per-hour winds, and it was always just so difficult, and the ice was 20 inches thick. Like, legit, that's what it is. Like,
Can I briefly pull my diaspora card for a second on this slight subtopic? Because when you have parents who immigrated from somewhere, when you have parents who are refugees from somewhere, I'll be like, it's like sometimes there's like long, again, they're primary sources for me, of course. For most of my life, they're the only primary sources. but like there were some stories that just started to come off like exemplar to me. Like my father was a prisoner of war. I was like, how did you get out? And it was like, aha. It's like so there was a security guard, and by the end of it, it's like he outsmarted them and he stuck out of the house. And like the first few times he interpreted the story, I saw this pattern of just sort of like every time you're telling me this story, it always comes out like you outwitted this Neanderthal in order to get out. A very complicated, serious situation, and it's only in recent years that I've heard a different interpretation of what's going on. And honestly, a lot more like, and honestly, probably a lot more indicated of PTSD. But I digress.
And then we have the
Legacy.
birth of Exodus.
Yes,
You wanted to add something?
I did. So I studied ancient cultures, right? Romans, Greek, and Egyptian mostly. And we can take a lot of their historical writings and we can say, hey, this was embellished, but there is a grain of truth in it. So by taking writing from different sources, by comparing them, we can sift through and figure out what actually happened or have an idea of vague facts. We can't always put together the entirety of the story. And that's sort of how a lot of people currently view the Bible, is that it is what it is, it says what it says, and this is how it happened, as opposed to it is a document that was written, and some of it's true, some of it's embellished, some of it is parable, and we need to use other sources to reinforce what actually happened and what was a moral of the story type of vibe.
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
For the longest
I
time,
I
also
had an
people thought that
example
the
that
whole
relates to this.
Huh?
I do honestly think we just solved Exodus though, but I do agree with you.
I'm not sure if I vote on that, but I wanted to bring an example to kind of illustrate a little bit what Legacy said. And the Zinga and ML already know about this because I brought this up in the last time I was with y'all last week. But so anyone is familiar with the Indiana Jones, like the first Indiana Jones movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
The essential premise was around to get the Ark of the Covenant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from what I remember, that they went to Central America. That everyone was like going to Central America because they rumored that was where the Ark was supposed
No,
to
that's
be.
where the idol was in the very beginning.
Oh, the idol. Okay.
It was in North Africa.
Yes, that was where he met
Okay,
the
so even
woman
that,
that
like,
was
the-
way too young that he wronged in some strange way.
Okay, so where did they say they went for when they were rescuing the Ark? Or on the
Didn't they go to Morocco?
The fascists. Okay, so Morocco. If they flew there. In my culture, there is an entire narrative that's saying we have the Ark and we've had it the entire time, and it's sitting in a church called Lalibela, in like a small church in Ethiopian province, where there's one keshi, one priest who goes in and out, and one security outside of it, and it's sitting there like Schrodinger's cat that we've been securing this whole time. But meanwhile, there's a whole other historical narrative that said it's on the other part of this continent, or maybe in another place entirely.
We also need to consider more recent history. I'm going to use my country as a example. We have stories about the Anglo-Boer War, as well as the Afrikaners against the Zulu people. And what actually happened is so steeped in like what the fuckery that nobody actually knows. People who believe that Afrikaans is right and white is might will completely tell you that the Zulus ambushed everyone and they went back on an agreement and blah, 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 blah. And other people will tell you that's not what actually happened. This is our side of the story. This is how it happened. And nobody actually knows. And that was less than 200 years ago, and we're sitting here like, how are we going to figure out something that happened 2,000, 3,000 years ago?
Hey, Legacy, just for clarification, so you're South African?
Yes,
You say okay. I could not place your accent at all, and when you said that, I was like, let me just make sure, so I'm not
I am
being
South
wildly
African.
wrong. Okay.
Maybe like try to point a finger at like what ways we can is definitely through archaeology. Like for the longest time, we thought that the whole story of the fall of Troy was a myth, a legend told by Homer, perpetuated through Virgil. Until what, like relatively recently, and the name is burned into my skull, Schliemann, because he was the treasure hunter pseudo archaeologist who actually found Troy and hoarded all the treasure for himself, and everything's buried with it now. But his find actually finally supported Homer's epic, the Odyssey and Iliad. So
Yeah, and this is the power of and the failure of archaeology. Archaeology is not the silver bullet of speculative history. Yeah, we found Troy. That gives us a sense of we have this anchor point in history now that ties to something that we only knew from literature. The same is true within biblical history and biblical archaeology. They are uncovering, locations that have been identified throughout biblical history, and people, in more modern times, more critical times, were like, these places didn't necessarily exist. They were just part of the story, but now we are being able to verify it. It does not verify the history, it just gives us an anchor point for the history. Welcome back, Gen X Dad.
Like when we first discovered Roman statues, artworks, we thought that they were white. Only recently did we discover that they were actually painted in really, really vivid colors.
Mhm.
So archaeology has its limitations. Similarly, the method that
well, the
we
archaeological
discussed
methods have definitely
previously,
improved.
yeah,
Like
and
the
so
archaeological methods are what allowed us to understand that those statues were painted with various skin pigments.
yeah. But similarly, the method that we discussed earlier, where we compare different sources to each other to sift through what is true and what wasn't, or what has a grain of truth in it, is also limited. We can, for example, speculate and somewhat follow how certain Roman gods or Greek gods came to be from different stories and where they originated from, but we cannot for certain tell all of it, for example, because there are things that got lost. There are things that wasn't written down. Verbal storytelling was not written down, for example. And that is part of how the Bible was documented ultimately, where a story would happen and only be written down later on, but it was told and retold verbally through a number of generations.
Yeah, when oral tradition finally meets or matches up or catches up to literary traditions.
Right. And oral tradition is oral tradition is as valid a form of historical transmission as documented historical transmission.
Absolutely.
Now,
It
hang on,
depends on
Val.
the tradition, I would argue.
Hang on. Hang on.
And no, I'm going to back them on this because 1000% you like archaeology, at least earlier archaeologists did not take oral traditions into account. And oral traditions, a lot of times, like I have stories in my family that I've been able to prove happened literally
Yeah.
200 years after they happened because of oral tradition. So I will
Absolutely.
1000% always back there has to be some sort of oral tradition that's there. There are a lot of cultures that rely very heavily on oral tradition, and discounting that is discounting those cultures.
Oh no, that's why I
Exactly.
said
I
it,
will
it depends
continue
on
to
the
drink my
tradition.
Manhattan.
It depends on the tradition, because if the traditions uphold like a very distinct importance over the transmission of it orally, like the uh, indigenous people of Australia, they have a ritualistic setting of repeating the words verbatim in order to transmit the oral traditions over generations, to the point where their descriptions of the Bunyik are actually identical to the um, Diprotodon, and it shows that there's an actual like fossil record like going back 180,000 years or 80,000 years, and proving their existence within that continent at that time. And yes, like that's why I went, ooh, it depends on the tradition, because some places didn't have that strong oral tradition, and then they would use the God of the Gaps fallacy over and over again to like give specific phenomenon that they couldn't explain supernatural explanations.
Well,
Not to mention the
So
whole
I think,
telephone, playing telephone is a thing.
Yeah.
Like the fact is, if you certain
yeah,
oral traditions, I agree with in the idea of like passing on family stories, because there's an intimate transmission from that and firsthand accounts transferring down the line. But when there's larger players at play, or when it's like a biographical account of like of either a governmental body or a history, particularly certain of events, a lot of things that we know now that they didn't necessarily know then, it's very easy for like very slowly, incrementally over every retelling of the story that certain things get traded. Even when I told the story about that I was saying about my dad earlier, there's things that are lost in my interpretation, even though he told me the story more than once, because somewhere along the way something got distorted. And when that gets multiplied over a period of time, I don't know if there's a proper term for this. Like those things can add up cumulatively and then completely distort the story. Like playing telephone is a
yes.
thing.
Yes, I 1000% agree with you. But to your point of, when you're telling a story in a family setting, it has a tendency to be more intimate. You're still playing telephone in that setting. However, and I feel like, Emma, I feel like you would agree with this. You can still kind of go back through oral traditions and oral history, and you can relay that. Like you can use multiple forms of evidence, because archaeology does not use one form of evidence. You have to use multiple forms of evidence anyway. You kind of pick out, like, bro
Yeah,
didn't walk on water.
I will defend oral traditions,
Yeah, we're not
but
negating
I will
it.
also be realistic about them. Like, not all oral traditions, like, I'm trying to stay away from a blanketed statement of all oral traditions are the best source. And
No,
in a
no,
lot
I
of,
don't think anybody said they're the best source, though. But they
well,
are a source.
They're
they are a
valid
source, absolutely.
sources. That was the point.
They are a source, but depending on how much you can glean from them, like it really depends on how much of importance that the culture, the setting places on that tradition of passing
That's why
down that
I have
specific
like an
information.
asterisk. When we first started, I was like, no, I get where you coming from, but it was like I had like an asterisk. I was just like, qualify that.
I think
Look,
he wants
I don't
to
listen
say
to either one of you guys. Hercules existed and he was hot.
You just want Dwayne the Rock Johnson to be your boyfriend. Okay, let's just.
No, I don't. I don't want him. I need more chocolate than that. Mm-mm.
Okay, so probably not. Okay, my second guess is gonna be Armand Asante, but I realized that wasn't Hercules, that was Odysseus. I can't remember what Hercules last.
No, he was kind of hot though. But
Did you want to say something?
He was.
Oh, please. Yeah, okay. Never mind. I caught up to the conversation. I was going to say, please don't say Kevin Sorbo.
Oh, you reminded me. I
think Legacy was trying to say something though on that note, because brother, ew.
I was not. I just wanted to ask Jeannie if she had something to say, because she hasn't had an opportunity to say something in a bit.
Look, I can mute all your asses and say whatever I want when I want it. So, I mean, I wield my power well.
Damn, baby.
Slay.
And people wonder why I'm attracted to her. God.
I mean, hey, all day long. Hey. Yeah, I do think like I hear what you're saying where it's like okay, like Aboriginal traditions, which yes, very, very, very true, right? But I
Mhm.
feel like there's a level of discounting that happens with other oral traditions, and then people will find something
Absolutely.
where they're like, okay, well, this is the blueprint. Like if you don't do it like this, then we're gonna discount X, Y, and Z. But it's like
Like,
you
sorry.
can't
No,
discount it.
it's not about discounting. It's about recognizing that there are certain things happening and being aware of that while you're doing your analysis.
For me, here in South Africa, we have a number of different indigenous cultures, and the majority of them rely on oral tradition. And for the longest time, people didn't give a shit about the history of the indigenous people of South Africa because they're only telling stories. You know, they never actually gave attention to the language of the people and the history of the people because it's not quote unquote valid if they don't write it down, you know. Thank
And I
you.
think
I
that
work
that's
really hard on my sarcastic laugh.
I freaking loved it. I did. It was Oscar worthy. 10 stars. But yeah, but like I guess that's probably why like for me it hit me a little viscerally because I know and I don't know because I'm obviously disconnected from this, but I know there are a lot of West African cultures that kind of operated the same way and that got pulled over to the Americans. So there to the Americas. So there are a lot of black Americans, i.e. me, whose families for hundreds of years like we have oral traditions in our families with things. Our families still tell us stories like to this day I can point to stories that my father told me that probably go back at least 200 years.
Yeah.
And that's a throwback. That's some diaspora shit. That is a throwback to West African traditions where we still tell stories. So it's like for me, it's always like, no, you have to listen to these stories because even if we don't have it 100% right, if we have it 10% right, help me figure out the other 90.
Yeah. No, and you see, I'm sort of gleaming off to the side right now. I'm sort of deviating from the topic at hand because it's just making me think once again, especially here, a lot of white people are now forcing Western ideals onto the indigenous cultures. Like, you need to be able to write your language, and figuring out a way to write Zulu in a non in a way that uses our alphabet, you know. So there are three clicks in the Zulu language
Mhm.
that nobody, there's no letter for it. So instead, we just use the
IPA,
C and the Q and the X.
the
Um,
International Phonetic Alphabet has
yeah,
those.
so they're sort of forcing that upon indigenous cultures into like, you need to be able to read and write your language, sweetie.
I
It will
ran
be
in
better for you. You will be so much smarter.
So I ran into a version of that with my language. So the language closely related to my country and my tribe is called Tigrinya, which is derived from the Giz alphabet, which I guess like dates back to like the closest, the most ancient I think go back is like Aramaic. If that, like, the only thing I can translate, that only thing I can say that translates to ML might be that. But I remember my parents had a book for. I remember that I went to classes when I was younger. Unfortunately, kind of fell out of it, and then I was a byproduct of assimilation. But we had a book. Well, there was one book that my dad had just like my dad or someone had gotten, and it was, how do I say this? It had all of our characters, and it was trying to explain everything, and they were able to print everything in English and then in the language. But I remember they were trying to explain how to make certain accents. Um, so I remember we would say there's three ways to say make a make a K sound. So you either have like a regular K, and we have like 7 vowels instead of 5. Um, but then we have but it starts with but we either have regular K, or the second one was a K, or there's that first one was like regular K, or then there's a K, or there's a K, or then the third one was like K. So, and I remember, like, we just practiced doing this. Like we were in class, we just practiced doing this. And I had this book, and they were trying to translate this in English. And I remember I was weirded out because the first one just said a regular K. So if like your name was Kelly, then like regular K, Kelly. Like we write a lot of stuff just goes like syllabic. So I'm trying. So I remember Fidel's. Remember how to spell things. So rather we would write words or things syllabically. So because you have the vowel and the consonant together. But when we write the 3 Ks, they just wrote a regular K, and the second one is K, and then it said K in parentheses. It said pharyngeal. As a 16-year-old, I was like, I have no idea what the flying fuck pharyngeal is. But I knew what it was. I know what it is now. I know what it is now because I took anatomy, so I know what it is now. But like as a child when I was studying this, I ignored that part and just said no, that's K. Like I know that. And then the third one is K. As I said, this is K in parentheses laryngeal. It took me literally years until my behind took anatomy and physiology for me to finally piece together, oh my god, they're trying to describe to them which part of the throat you click in order for them to make this sound, because your pharynx is up toward the top and your larynx is in the back where your voice box is. But like, I was a whole 23-year-old who then had to explain it to my father to a certain extent, who was like, oh, okay. Because even he was like, I have no idea why this white man wrote this. But we just went on.
Did anybody ever misread it as phalangeal? Like start sticking their finger down the throat?
I love Phoebe, but no. Oh, you mean phalangeal. Okay, you took anatomy away. Okay.
You know, it's so funny too because like you're saying this, and that's exactly where my head went. Was like, why don't they be anatomical?
No, so like,
but it's always this way where they make something. And remember, like the particular book that I'm talking about. Here's what's funny: it was written by both a man native to our tribe, who I think did still speak English, and then it was like a British linguist or something who together the two of them wrote this together. So they had the first alphabet, and then they broke it down the way other languages other romantic languages be broken down. They try to teach them. They try to teach them how to greetings, and they try to teach them basic objects, and they teach them family terms, and they did like and then like similar conversations, and like say. But it was one of those things where like the whole thing is written with a preset Western point of view. And possibly the only way that it didn't already trigger for us is because we were already a colonized country by the time this happened. So the fact that they wrote it like this, some parts is like, yeah, okay, we already know how to say it. Maybe it'll make sense for somebody else. But then you have those rare moments where I was like, yeah, I just learned to say "kla." I just learned to say "kla." But like, I don't.
Like, all right. Bonus points if you can do a bilabial phalangeal voiced fricative.
No.
That's all, folks.
No, so
it's really interesting.
When I was studying education, one of the things that they required of us is to take one of the indigenous languages that is not English or Afrikaans, because a lot of white people study education but cannot speak any of the native languages. So I took Zulu, but Tswana was another one that they had available to us. They did not have a lot of the languages available. We have 11 official languages by JP. But I took Zulu, and like I said, there are 3 clicks in the Zulu language, and I will tell you that I still struggle to do the clicks correctly when mixed into a word.
I'm
I
still
can
trying to say Kosa.
Kosa.
Because well, I'm still trying to because I saw Trevor Noah do it and I was like, wait, no, we do, like, wait, no, I think I I learned
So
those damn
yeah,
K's for a reason.
no. So there are 3 clicks. The C is right behind your teeth. The Q is in your cheek, sort of like you're hurrying a horse along. And the X, the one that you're trying to say, is when you sort of glue your tongue to the top of your mouth and then suck and drop it like that. Yeah. So yeah, Kosa.
Kosa,
Kosa.
Kosa, Kosa.
And one of my lecturers told me effectively that if you're struggling to do the clicks, just down half a bottle of wine and you'll be fine. Tatsu, are you okay?
Well,
Are you?
I was able to do it right this one time. Is that why?
Kosa, Kosa,
Yeah.
Kosa.
Tatsu, are you okay? And Jeannie, you had a shocked expression on your face earlier. Are you okay?
I think I was gonna say I believe they had saw the because I saw
No,
you
I
look
sent
down and see the comment and that's when your little eyes light up.
no Legacy, my dear. I sent you the reason why I had a shocked face.
Okay. Let me go check.
Oh no, Katsu!
God, are you okay?
Oh no.
I mean, strangely enough, this is the second day in a row when gout has come up in a conversation that I was in. That's odd, but I'm sorry, sweetie.
Had to get a dietitian. That's the best thing I can say to you. Especially if it's acute, get a dietitian so it doesn't happen again.
The rattlesnakes? Is that what had you shot?
Yeah. Keep watching.
Wait, what?
I'm watching.
My name's Bennett. I'm not in it.
I
Right.
don't
And so
I
I
don't
think
show snake videos because it can be trauma inducing for some people.
Yeah,
send them all.
so
You
Jeannie
send them all
knows
over
that
to
I
Andy.
don't have a trauma response to snakes, so she sent it to me.
I've been messing with Andy by sending him all the jump scares.
Yeah, you sent one of those to me, by the way. Like, literally.
Demon's mad.
Oh no, we already talked. Like, I'm this. This man says at least 2. Like, my DMs have never been this active on Instagram because every day on the daily, ML got something crazy. So.
Oh, I don't even send out the crazy stuff that Andy sends me. Like I feel like
Okay.
I would get shunned
But
by everybody.
I need to draw the boundaries at a jump scare. Like I'd like all the cute babies or the dogs or like or the almost like lighting someone in a wheelchair on fire. I'm sorry, I don't wish it, but I think I saw just an unrelated
Look.
about that today.
Zeman, have you ever changed a baby's diaper?
Yeah,
That's a jump scare.
Because if you've never changed a baby's diaper, in particular a baby penis wielder,
yeah, no, I know what you're alluding to. Yes, like I know what
You
you're
gotta do it
referring
fast.
to.
You gotta do it
I
fast.
no,
they
I'm
are
lucky
not
because
jump
I just had a
scareless.
I had a hypnotic, well, not a hypnotic. I had a strange effect on my nephew, where like he was just giggling the whole time, but the reality is like he just didn't have anything in tank when I changed his diaper. That was just I lucked out because literally I just went, I jumped in when they were so. But yes,
Legacy,
that's
my
always
dear,
all I know.
Yes.
I am not the herpophile.
What?
You do not have to send me anything.
Please tell me that translates to something else in Latin, ML.
a reptile lover.
Oh.
No.
Specifically, I love snakes.
Oh, I can dig it.
Yeah. My
Oh,
mind
I know.
reptile lover.
completely
Oh my
different.
god. I thought you said a reptile lover.
I mean,
I'm
well,
like, that's y'all business.
Legacy also does have a thing for that.
I do.
I was like, y'all said that's y'all's business, but
Oh, sweetie,
I was like,
you
what does that have to
get
do with
into
what
the
we?
middle of our business?
Seaman, you've never been in one of my lives, especially one that is tagged with Friday Night Spice. At any moment, at any time, this conversation can go completely 21 and up.
So
No, that's the thing. I went to that before I went to reptiles. So I was just like, I don't know what this got to do with the rest of us, but okay, that's your business.
That's purely acceptable in these lives. It's like Legacy. I didn't know that you were a lover of erectile things. In which case, I would have followed that up with Zeman. I can give you firsthand knowledge of that.
yes, she can.
You can give first-hand knowledge of loving
No.
reptiles?
No, of me loving.
You were
Reptile
loving
things.
reptiles? You were loving reptiles?
Put an ERCTILE ahead of that.
Yeah,
Ere-
yeah.
you loved erectile reptile?
What is
No, sweetie.
That was great.
And now Jeannie's life has gone to a whole new level, and I appreciate every moment of it. Thank you very much.
what is the name
I
of
love you,
a
baby.
a person who loves reptiles again? Because I
Herpophile.
herpophile.
That's why I panicked. 'Cause I was like, wait.
Okay.
Herpophile. Like
Just get some
bibliophile
contracts
is someone who loves reading.
A herpetologist is somebody who is an ologist of snakes and reptiles.
Yes,
I need
like
to understand the
myself.
Latin root of that. I'm gonna have to look it up later because
That's the thing. I picked
I
up
can
the
do that with
file.
you guys.
I picked up
Yeah,
the
File
file.
biblio
I
is
didn't
like-
know the
Yeah.
prefix. I was like,
Herpetophile.
I was like, y'all can just take some vowel checks and call it a day. I don't know what that prefix is supposed to stand for.
File
File
just means love.
Right? No, I
File
understand
comes
file.
But
I don't understand
it's not-
file, but I didn't know
It's the
herp.
herpa.
So when I'm looking at this, I
Yeah,
said,
it's the herpa.
I looked at it, I was like, just take some vowel checks and call it a day.
Oh, yeah, y'all thought herpes?
Yeah, that's what I
That's
first
what I
thought. Yes, I
thought.
don't know what the
Yeah.
prefix for that is.
Nah,
I've never heard that.
bruh, nah.
Herpet-
So I would have to
herpetophile.
assume that it has something to do with the texture of the snake. I'm gonna look it up later because I do want to understand that, but I feel like it has to do with the texture. I'm looking it up right now. Just because you said what like that, I'm
Because it's
looking
so
it up
cool.
right now.
I just looked it up. It's herpeto. Herpeto.
So, I own 7 snakes, and I study snakes, particularly the snakes in South Africa. There are 160 species of snakes. Only like 50 of them are considered dangerous, and only 13 are considered deadly.
Compared to the earthworms in Australia, which will kill you by looking at you. Yes,
I can also
ML. I knew that it was going to be the herpeto, but it's much more fun to say herpo.
yeah. So
Okay, so
yeah.
you guys are looking into because herpeto. I still need to look into it, and I still think it has to do with the texture. What does herpeto? What is the root word? Like, what does that mean? Is it Greek or is it Latin? Because I can't find. I found a different word.
I don't know.
Etymology.
Let me be a nerd.
Herpetosis.
Etymology from Greek. Eperto.
Yeah.
So I also studied languages, so I actually enjoy etymology.
Creeping.
too. Creeping, good.
Like creeping animals.
Okay,
Yes.
see, I knew it had to do
So
something
what is
that
the
was
Latin word? Is it herpetosis?
It's not Latin, it's Greek.
like herpeto.
The
Prepare.
Latin is going
It
to
is
borrow
repetitive.
from the Greek, most likely. I'm not fully through the etymology yet.
None of that word is Latin.
None of the word is Latin.
No.
Okay.
File isn't Latin. File is Greek.
I thought it
Yeah,
was.
phile. Phile is love in Greek.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I remember.
Philos.
The different forms of love in Greek.
There's a Philemon though.
Yeah, if it was Latin, it'd be something close to amare.
Amore, eros.
Amore. Sí.
Well, Latin is amare. It's an ARE verb.
Amare. Sorry, my
Amare. Amare.
Volare. Whoa, volare. Sorry.
Oh, I went that's Samare, but that's a different.
that's
Beto?
amore.
That's
When
No.
it's your like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
No, not big. Not
Wait.
big. Like a bigger. Like
If
a
you
bigger
look in the
pizza
mind,
pie.
there's a second.
Do we know if
It's
wait? Do we know if that's the
amore.
actual lyric or if this is a revisionist? And we don't realize it. Because someone made a
I wish
whole
that
song
Depends
about
on who
pizza
you
pie.
listen
The
to.
actual lyric.
I was like, Weird Al could have snuck that in and nobody knew.
It
I
depends
literally
on who
looked
you
it up
listen to,
right
because
now.
if you listen to Dean Martin, it's it's big.
I'm sorry, y'all. My brain is going at 100 miles an hour. My echolalia and misophonia are acting up at the same time, and I'm just sitting here like.
Wait, no one's chewing anything. How is your misophonia going on?
I am technically chewing. I'm eating feta cheese, which don't judge me. I wanted the salty.
I don't mind.
Really?
I love salt. I'm eating feta cheese.
There are sounds.
No, not feta
in my
cheese.
vicinity.
Salty.
Not on the live. There are sounds in my vicinity that are
Oh, I
setting
see.
me up.
I don't think it's better. But
Where
also,
the
yes,
fuck did that
literally.
accent come from, love?
I don't know.
Okay.
Look, the way that they're talking in general, like, I was like, oh my god, I love this voice. I love this voice. I do.
I
I
can't
do
do the
voices
chewy
as
voice.
well.
I can't do the chewy voice. It has an effect on me.
It has an effect on you.
It has an
Oh,
effect on me.
really? Well, now, Zeman.
What?
What effect, sweetie?
Don't force your Western requirements of putting things into words, Legacy.
I mean, if it is a trauma response, yes, I will defend you.
It's
If it
not
is
a trauma
another type of
response.
response, which I've already established is welcome in this place, we enjoy that, and we do not
We can play,
shame.
it's fine.
So,
It's
if it's any
not
other
a-
response, then it's just boring.
It's
not-
like it's like your Cookie Monster scene, Jeannie.
Oh, I know. Y'all, I had a conversation with a burlesque dancer about sort of filling out my BDSM Cookie Monster cosplay scene.
Okay, man. I need
In
to see
that-
this shit.
in
I
that
need to see
play,
this shit.
though-
I need pictures.
Wait. Do you actually eat any of the cookies? Because as you recall, Cookie Monster doesn't actually eat the cookies because he can't eat it.
Jeannie can eat my
But
cookie.
you're a
and
person.
eat.
But you're a
I'm like,
person.
Zeman doesn't know what he's saying.
I'm like, you can't, like, you can eat, like, you a person, you can
What are
eat
you
it,
talking
you
about?
can,
You're not supposed to eat the cookie face.
no, he can eat it, like, he can eat it, but Cookie Monster couldn't eat the cookie. So are you
Steven,
actually eating
are
the
you
cookie, or are you
autistic?
flying, or are you actually eating the cookie, or are you just letting it fly out in the air randomly to hit other people? Like,
Zeman, are you
Are we hitting
autistic
people
by
with the
any
cookie
chance?
now?
I mean, I have a good idea of what the metaphor means, yes, that's not lost on me, but I'm very dedicated to. I'm very dedicated to authenticity.
You're dedicated
It's
to
just
your
it's
bed.
worse because you keep saying "be cookie" instead of like Oreos. Just say like Oreos.
Because he would never eat. Because he never ate Oreos. He always ate a very specific kind of cookie. He a picky bitch.
Cookie.
Honey, I'm pansexual. I don't need a specific kind of cookie.
But you said a Cookie Monster cosplay. You didn't say genie.
Fucking dead.
And I'm waiting for my damn answer.
She had to mute herself. To
And
go,
with that, yo, I need to shut myself down. Like, Jeannie, I'm still gonna be awake for a little bit, but I need to hop off. I'm dying over here.
Okay, babe. If I don't say goodnight to you, I'll see you in a few hours.
Good night,
I fucking
Legacy.
love
I
you.
hope you enjoy
Night,
cookies
Legacy.
soon.
To eat me soon?
Sure.
I love you, Jeannie. Bye,
Love you,
everyone.
Night.
Night.
So, Katsu, technically, it's good morning, Legacy, because it is, oh my god, fucking early a.m. for Legacy.
10 hours ahead, right?
7.
Oh,
Okay.
true.
Oh God.
7 hours ahead, and I'm 3/4 of the way into my whiskey, and so therefore, I don't do math.
Oh, Jeannie. You and me both.
It's like, if I'm sober, I will do the math. I'm not doing the math.
Demon, thank you so much for the laugh that I needed to start my Friday off.
You very welcome, but I'm standing 10 toes down waiting for my damn answer.
Sweetie,
He
it's
wants
not
to know
about
what
eating
kind
the
are the-
cookies. It's about delivering them.
Euphemism.
You're delivering the cookies to them, but you're the Cookie Monster.
Where do oatmeal cookies land in this conversation?
Are we talking with raisins or without?
With.
No raisins. I'm sorry, we have a limit here. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say we. That's your play, but
Oh God, I cannot function right now.
why would you want something so desiccated? I just
Well, we're talking about cookies, Zeman.
If
Raisins
it
belong
was-
in cookies.
And now Zeman's being ageist.
no. You could have. I mean, you could have them, but they should be grapes. Apparently, that would actually make some sense. Okay.
Katsu.
No, the where the story diverged into very fun places. So GalaxyCon here in Oklahoma City a few weeks back, there were burlesque dancers, and one of the dancers actually has a Cookie Monster routine, and she has a costume. And so I was talking to her about the fact that one night I just happened to be me, and I started messing around with people, and I was going, "Sis for cookie, that's good enough for me." And it got somebody very excited, and they're like, "I want you to spank my ass dressed as Cookie Monster." And that just started an idea. And because I am very kink oriented and involved,
Right.
yeah, I started mentioning this in some of the kink circles that I'm in, and they're like, yes, you need to do this. You need to do this. And so I'm starting to put together the elements to be able to do this, for people who need this type of release. So I got some really good ideas.
Okay, you might have already started, but I just had a thought because someone had referenced this earlier to me. I don't think it was ML, but it was referenced to me earlier on something I saw this with. So then people use this for hunting. They call it like a ghillie something suit.
A ghillie suit.
Yeah, I guess a ghillie suit. If you dyed that blue, I feel like that would give a texture that could resemble Cookie Monster.
Did you just say dye ghillie suit blue? Are we going for like sexy? Or are we going for like actual Cookie Monster?
I feel like I feel like you want to look like a monster, but
You look more like a blue Swamp Thing.
Yeah, it would.
What do you think Cookie Monster is?
It would be an Avatar Swamp Thing, is what it would be. But
okay, is that what we're going for?
I'm going more for a dominatrix style cut out bodysuit.
Okay, so yes, literally start. God, fucking men talking about a goddamn ghillie suit. Okay, so anyways, so
We let them
literally,
have their fantasies, you know.
like I'm like Jesus fuck, like okay. So
I'm gonna blame
in my
me for the
head-
fact ghillie suits exist. Okay.
You and I, Zinger over here, we're talking like practicalities. We know how this works.
Like, I'm like, you guys are so adorable. You're so adorable. You're like, here, we're gonna put you in a blue ghillie suit and then give you like you can literally walk around with cookies and go, oh, they're good enough for me. Like, no, that's not what we're doing. That's not literally what we're doing. Like, okay, so hold on, let my imagination.
Committed to the moment.
Look, you can be committed to
Y'all
the
are
guy.
committed
That's
to actual
fine.
Cookie Monster. We're trying to do a Cookie Monster that is a monster of the cookies, not cookies.
I'm just happy with the other Friends reference.
Because you get where I'm. Because that dude was a tool.
Wasn't that the
Oh
same
my
actor
God.
from Breakfast Club?
It wasn't the Jude guy.
No, it wasn't
I don't-
him. The
I don't think
the
it
rocker
was
dude.
him. I don't think so. So I feel like whatever. Because I saw him on Suddenly Susan. He was recurring on that for years. And he
Yes.
didn't- Oh, okay, I see.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
And I was like definitely with the boots. Like I could see the boots.
Yes.
Ooh, I like the little yeah.
The little
Like
furry boots.
1000%. Yes.
Yeah.
Because these mofos talk about a damn ghillie suit. I'm not gonna let you guys. I'm gonna send you guys a fucking ghillie
Somebody
suit.
wants a fucking ghillie
What?
suit. I promise you. You want to be kink positive? Guess what? You don't get to.
You know
There are
what?
all
Somebody is not
possibilities.
gonna want the ghillie. They want the actual Cookie Monster fucking costume.
Somebody
Okay.
wants the ghillie suit. Even if that's not your intention, somebody else probably wants a ghillie suit somewhere.
Oh, I really like that.
I like that too.
I actually really like that. I just
See,
want
it has
the
texture,
eye.
which
I don't want the eyes there though.
Right? I know. It's the eyes. They throw you off.
Yeah, but everything else I
He's
like
got
about
the
it.
googly eyes.
But yeah, something
Like, I feel
along
like
the
if
lines
you
of the
could do-
first one, not the second one. Although second one I can see some adaptations.
I feel like
the
it's
first
cute.
one technically is the ghillie suit, so I'm standing by.
The first one was not a ghillie suit.
It was a
The first one
bikini.
No, because you said the first one. You didn't say the first Google picture. So I'm still taking credit for the first.
Zeman, you are so innocent. I love it. I just want to put you in bubble wrap somewhere and keep you safe. Also,
Hey, never again. Never
but
again.
also, no. I feel like Zeman, you could take notes. You should take notes and try some of these.
Email has gone suspiciously quiet.
I got nothing.
I'm good on the hug thing.
I almost spit my whiskey out when you said that because I'm like, he sure as
I
fuck
got my
did.
touch another way.
ML's over here wondering, how much does Jeannie charge?
That's it was just like, bro, you need a hug.
Just sitting in the
That's
corner.
I
rocking back and
don't
forth.
like hugs after moments like this. I definitely don't. I'm probably not gonna take a hug after a kink conversation, but
I mean, kinks are all safe. It's fine.
Exactly.
The thing that's so funny about
Some
it
kinks
is
are
I don't
not.
even know if I actually have a kink. Oh wait, no, I do. I just thought of it. I had to think of it. I do.
Would you like to share with the class?
I feel like it's basic as fuck. Like it's like a basic. Like I just like very.
I'm sorry. I feel you already told me about the one. After you told me about the one dude that I ruined your crush over, I feel like it might be basic. Sorry, I just interrupted you.
No, it is totally fucking basic.
Oh, okay.
I know
Okay.
it's basic, and also like.
Okay. Here, so I don't need to know
I'm going
what it
ahead.
is, but I do need to say this. When it comes to kink, there is no objective spectrum, meaning that one end of the kink spectrum is pure vanilla and the other end of the kink spectrum is some bizarre gonzo off the wall swinging from chandeliers kind of shit. That's not the spectrum. For some people, the spectrum is vanilla begins with lights off once a week, maybe once a month, who knows, to maybe every now and then getting a little freaky by having sex on the floor of the bedroom instead of in the bed. That might
Oh yeah,
be
I would totally
kink.
be down for that. I like so
Prefer to
I
bed.
have. Oh fuck yeah! Like I'm like so weird because I am so dominant, but I love quietly. That is the main word. I love me a quietly dominant man. Like there's this dude that works at my job, and he's like a
Uh-huh.
security. He's a security job or a security guard at like one of the locations that I work at, and he's
Uh-huh.
totally married. Otherwise, I would totally try to fuck him. But he's married, and I will respect that. Like they're like high school sweethearts in love. It's super cute, but he's fucking hot. Oh, we're also friends on TikTok. I'm so glad he's not in here. But anyways, but like, like I like stop for a second. Like, oh shit, let me look. But like,
Just let me
literally,
that.
I got. So it's like we're like
Huge
under a
heaven.
heat advisory right now because it's like 100 degrees outside. And I get in my car and he like walks me out to my car because they just walk everybody out to their car. And he walks me out to my car and we're talking. And I didn't start my car because I'm like if it's warm, it doesn't really bother me too much. So I didn't start my car. And he's just like, it's really hot outside. And I'm like, yeah. And he was just like, start your car. And like, fucking Niagara Falls. And I was like, sorry, let me leave. Like he's like, did you start your car yet? And I was like, no, not yet. And he's like, start your car.
See, this is the problem. I had the mistake of having attractive
Jesus.
friends, and then when they do something goofy, then that unlocks something in me because it's done by somebody I already find attractive, but safely at distance because they have a friend and they married. But I was sitting there, I was like, when it's like, so they did an impression of Daffy Duck, and then I was like, ah, damn it.
That is so cute though. I love that.
But like,
love that.
I know it's absolutely not everybody. Like, I'm sorry if somebody I'm not attracted to does it. Like, it does absolutely nothing. Like, it doesn't.
I'm sorry,
I
but
can see.
now I've got the vision of a scene with Zeman coming in dressed up like Duck Dodgers.
I'm dressed up in these situations.
Duck Dodgers in the 21st and a half century.
Wait, also, who is Duck Dodgers? I'm sorry. I know.
Oh my god, what really?
I know that's gonna trigger somebody. But
It's before his time.
Oh, turn
It's
in your
before
G
my
card.
time.
Guys, you have to realize, "Give Me a Break" is like reaching for me, like TV wise.
Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck was amazing. I still need that Marvel movie.
Look, Howard the Duck, the movie, is a travesty.
Shush.
It's
But
a
oh my
classic.
God, Leah Thompson in that movie. There is one scene that, because of the time frame that it came out, Let's just say I was very happy with that scene.
Okay, I will say this to persuade y'all. I know who Leah Thompson is. And I've seen her in movies.
Zeman, it's okay.
I'm not a literal fetus.
You are not an actual. We're like the same age. You're like a few years younger than I am.
Right.
I just have to make myself feel younger by calling you a fetus. That's all. Because I'm usually the baby in the.
Right. Like, I brought down the Berlin Wall. You're welcome. With my expulsion. You're welcome.
So, yeah. I don't think Zeman is as innocent as
I
it's.
never said
don't
I was
either.
innocent. I never said I was innocent.
I think he's quiet about it.
I think so. I think so.
I found out I was studious. So I just spent the last. So I'm the only person who, like, after. How do I say? After publicly recognizing myself, I spent 2 years looking for every single thing safely to explore what I liked and didn't like in a very trial and error, of course, consensual manner. Even if it
See,
went down
he's
a
a
very tricky
scientist.
path.
I salute
It's
you
fine.
completely.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's
The
a
only
scientific
part
freak.
that's annoying is I can only really explore one half of that without employing stereotypes. It's really easy to explore one half of that really easily. The other one gets complicated.
I'm not sure which half you're working on.
Oh, the one that resembles myself. Unfortunately, it's very easy to find areas to explore and do that in a casual manner, in a casual manner with no actual sense of commitment. The latter gets tricky because I have to operate in an area that's completely consensual, completely honest, completely respectful.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
We love a consensual thing.
Yeah,
I
but then
love
there's
it.
also the theory where it's like I know that I don't need to explore that to have validation in the first half, but I'm so left brained that it bothers me to not be able to make an affirmed decision without not data, but like not be able to explore and just see that for yourself.
I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, I don't want to
Healthy
declare
thing.
myself in. Yeah, I'll message you later. It's just like I'll message later. But it's I've I know that I don't need to what I described before. I know I don't need that to validate my identity or my direction, but because I'm so left brain, it bothers me to not find or look for ways to explore in that before making any sort of declarative idea to myself. I don't know if I'm fluid or not, but it bothers me to declare anything without actually exploring.
No, and yeah. Look, I am a binary transgender woman, and
Right.
I am fully supportive of and encourage anyone who experiences a degree of less than binary. Explore it, and allow yourself to connect with that any way you want to, whether that is sexually or gender oriented. I happen to be pansexual. It's like I want to experience attraction to a vast majority of different kinds of people, because there are people who are fucking amazing in all walks of life. And to miss out on any of those opportunities seems like I'm only selling short myself.
Right.
So good on you. You explore any way you feel comfortable doing so. As long as you're safe, as long as it's consensual, yeah. I'll always support that.
Appreciate it.
Yay, Zeman. Who's not as innocent as thank you.
Oh no! But I remember I was, even though it wasn't a big deal, but I was in a different mix of people, all very kind and supportive. But um, but it was a little more heteronormative in there. So
Right.
I was like, look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just going to speak in a slightly coded manner, and so there were ways where I was just sort of like, I was just sort of like, oh, I was like, oh, I hooked up with someone this weekend. Like, oh, where? And I was like, upstairs in the bar. But like for straight people, they don't understand what that means. They don't understand. They're like, how did you get upstairs in the bar? I was like, oh, we stuck to the bathroom. You were in the bathroom? Oh my god.
Damn, baby, go for it. I mean,
But
hell.
again, it's a free consensual space. Everyone's up front, and then you just got like I had to literally figure things out. Also figure out that also had to figure out certain vocal when people led in certain actions. I was like, ow, but there was, and not the ow you're thinking of.
I actually love this. Like I
Like
feel
a
like
dental, like a dental owl, like which is not something you thought you. No, I was paranoid about it. Actually, sorry, that's another piece of slight trauma that I had to explain. I was running. I think I had an impact on my direction for a while because I had a horrified idea, a non-religious horrified idea of it because I basically was overthinking the actions. And I was sitting there, hi Tori. I was literally sitting there, I was just sort of like, yeah, I can't trust that someone's not gonna bite me. Like, why the heck would I consent to that? Like that, like when I was younger.
oh yeah,
Like,
no.
because I was saying there's like some idiot is gonna end. Unfortunately, some people don't cover their teeth. Like I have to tell you, as a random stranger.
I'm so proud of you right now.
Thank you.
So you don't like teeth?
No, not even the like. Oh, I'm gonna like lightly grit. No, because it's literally like, because like it's giving anxiety, and anxiety is gonna
Good to know. I shall I shall try to remember, which is very unlikely, to refrain from bringing my primal to you. So,
sounds are welcome, but
oh, goody!
well, wait, we've established sounds are welcome, but it might still depend on the person.
But you're more of a Daffy Duck and not as much of a Cookie Monster.
Not the Cookie Monster, because unfortunately the visual is still in my mind. So like that, and also anything with food, just like no, that kind of like I remember, like if you ever seen like if I okay, I won't describe it, but like I had to see whipped cream stained on clothing, or like when the chocolate sauce is smeared. I was like, no, that's a not triggering, but it's like you're coming out of a food fight. I'm not. Well, literally, but
I'm just curious, was it a blue dress and were you sure it was whipped cream? Hi, Tori, how you doing, honey?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
How you doing?
no,
I
they
guess you're
both
off
had
your
suits
band.
on.
I am off of the I am off of my involuntary unpaid leave, yes.
Awesome.
Which the irony was that they paid me this week. So it's like it wasn't actually unpaid, but
That's
yeah.
hilarious. I love that for you.
Yay.
How are you?
Overwhelmed with school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Oh, side note.
I'm hitting the wall.
Yeah. I can kind of see that in your face. So what can we do to lift your spirits even just a little bit tonight?
Well, I
I can-
don't know if it's lifting spirits, but I have something on my mind.
What's up, man?
On Monday, it'll be 2 years since Roe was overturned,
Uh-huh.
and I was invited to speak at the Women's March in Tulsa.
Ooh.
So I want to write something they haven't really told me how much time,
Right.
and I always go through this when I write something to say in public where
Uh-huh.
part of me wants to just spit stats and like facts, but I cognitively know that storytelling is most impactful. So I wanted to talk about the Black maternal health crisis, and how restricting access will disproportionately impact that community already has and will more. So
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna um, choose maybe a woman who's died. I don't know. That feels cheap to just pick someone out of the algorithm, or I don't
Yeah.
know. I often wait for a story or something to kind of just like come to me that I think will help tell the story. Like when Roe was overturned, I spoke at the courthouse here in Stillwater,
Uh-huh.
and I was able to share about like, kind of my evolution of like I used to think everyone should breastfeed because breastfeeding is better, and then I had the gift of stories given to me that I was not owed, where people shared why they didn't breastfeed, which I again was not owed,
Right.
and humbly reconsidered my position that women should be forced to do anything with their bodies, let
Yeah.
alone with their reproductive organs. So that story hasn't come to me. So, and I'm a verbal processor, so I just am thinking about that and what I want to say. They invited me because of my perspective as a student midwife, and so I wanted to bring kind of like that aspect. So, anyways, I don't know. Sorry, I always change the vibes. I'm like serious bullshit. Nah.
That's okay. I've got
Can
whiskey in me, so
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
Okay, yay.
can I
I wish I
suggest
had whiskey.
maybe? Can I suggest? I know it's gonna sound really really obvious, but can I suggest like trust your algorithm for a second and just scroll or like make a search for it? Because there's a certain way I feel like, especially if we've been on the app for a while, like there's certain ways in which like I will watch something that will provoke and invoke a response in me. So it's not so much about like trying to get someone else's story because you're worried about coming out performative if it doesn't come out right. But it's just sort of like seeing other people's stories or it's like getting a point that someone else makes that forces you to promote discourse, and then I feel like that process will bring out what you really feel or a connection you might have with it.
Like you have to
Thank
make
you.
it personal to you. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you
I
do.
that's our way.
I agree.
my thing, and I'm a professional storyteller. All right, it has to be yours
Yeah.
because that's where the heart is. Your
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
You can tell a passionate story about someone, and it can be an emotional story, but the heart is your story.
Yeah. And the saddest part of this whole thing is that there are no black midwives to speak. There are a few. There is one as of 2 or 3 months ago, a licensed midwife who's black in the state of Oklahoma. First one.
Yeah.
First fucking one. And we wonder why. Anyways, so like really, she should be the one speaking, right? Like, but
Right.
again, she shouldn't anything. She doesn't owe her story. She
Right.
doesn't owe her labor, her emotional work. So there's that kind of um, disconnect where I'm like, I shouldn't even be the one speaking, but here I am speaking, and I want to speak. I want to fucking run my mouth about this shit. Pussy Riot all the way.
Well,
I
honey, you
think
want
this.
to run your mouth about a lot of shit. So, um, you are a passionate person, and that's what I love about you.
So, anyways,
But your story is what is going to connect with people,
yeah,
not you. Again, I can tell stories that will bend the heart of people. But when I tell my story, when I talk about what's happened to me, people become aware of why it is important
yeah,
because they are already thinking about other people's stories. They're already thinking about the stories that they hear.
Mm-hmm.
But take your story and you connect with one person who has a similar story with you, and you've just elevated that moment.
Mm-hmm.
You've taken the moment from being a storytelling moment to a connectional moment.
Yeah.
It's
And
now no
Jeannie's
longer
right.
it's now no longer about you sharing something. It is you sharing you with someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I need to explore the ways that, and maybe I shouldn't speak on the Black maternal health crisis. You know, like that's where my mind goes because I think of it as a crisis, and like it needs action, and I have a compulsion to speak on it, but I don't know that I have a personal story about it. Like the truth is that Black women in Oklahoma can't access our care because can't take insurance. We don't take state insurance. They won't interface with us. And so the best we can do is get them doulas that are paid professional advocates to go with them to the hospital and hope that they are believed and respected. But they're not. They're just not. And I can't I want to talk about it, but I don't. Yeah, I'm just adjacent. You know,
So why is it so personal to you?
I'm in college right now. I'm in my third year, and at the end of my third year, and um, no, beginning of my third year. I, I chose a very progressive college, and we talk a lot about these issues, specifically just like racial issues, gender issues, power dynamics. Like, because I mean, midwifery was eradicated intentionally in the United States. Like,
Hmm.
and so it's very much like, I don't know. It just is personal to me because I feel protective and I feel responsible, and I, I also feel helpless because, like I said, they can't access our care often. Um, you know, people that are the most vulnerable, that are, you know, have lack of access to just their basic needs being met. Because our, you know, our services have to be paid for out of pocket. So
So
I
why
don't
do you
know.
feel protective and responsible?
Mm. Well, I feel protective of all pregnant people. It's just a compulsion. Um, and like people with uteruses, like to not be pregnant, right? Like I also feel equally that way. And I just defer. Like I don't understand how we don't defer to the person with the body. I'm stuck there fucking all day. Like how who
So so I would say, because like to Jeannie's point, like yes, like you need to tell your story. Like Jeannie is amazing. I am nowhere on that level, but I've been in sales for 20 years. That's how I connect to people. I lean into my awkwardness. Like I'm very awkward. I just lean into it. Um
We love
and
awkward here.
Case in
look, I
point.
don't give a shit. I've had a lot to drink. I don't care. But at the end of the day, what I have found as I leaned into that awkwardness is me being awkward is extremely authentic to me, and people are drawn to that. And that totally works for me because that is authentically me, right? So when you speak about things and it's like, okay, I'm very protective, and then it's like I'm protective about pregnant women in general, and this is something with Black women specifically where they're running into this. To Zeman's point, you don't want to come off as if you're pandering. So you have to find your why and why it is that you want to specifically speak about that, because that why is going to be the tie to your specific story. So and it's not necessarily saying that it does not, it's not saying that like that story is outside of you. I think the way that you're saying this to me, like the way that I'm hearing it at least, and the way that I'm feeling it in my gut, I feel like it is a bit outside of you, because I feel like it's something that you're like, hey, this is important to speak about, but you don't have an actual real strong, like you have no narrative that ties you into it, right? Like,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
if there were,
I feel very outside of it. It's part of Yeah. I mean, that's part
And
of the helplessness is
this
that,
is where my
Well,
awkwardness comes in, and also where I give, because you and I have talked about, you've given me permission to bite your face.
I love it.
You're coming off as a white savior.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what I needed to like follow that thought thread
Yeah.
through and get there. And that's why what I want to say hasn't flowed, but I do still want to speak. Um,
Yes.
and I just need to keep thinking about what I want to say because I don't want to be totally off the cuff, like,
No.
yeah.
But
Can I
you
also?
have a voice, you have a place, you have a story.
Mhm.
You have a story that many people don't connect with very well. Can I share just a little bit of your story publicly?
Sure.
You have 3 fantastic children plus 1. You have the story of saying, I had the right to do with my body what I wanted to and bring happiness to a completely unrelated family. That's bodily autonomy, hun. And when I hear you talk about being a surrogate, your heart is still with that kid.
Mm.
It's not a kid you live with,
Mhm.
but your story is one of you got to make a decision to bring happiness not to your life, but to another family's life.
I'd also like to add to expand off of that, or expand off one of the earlier points. I love and appreciate, to the extent that I can, that you want to be respectful of other voices and of the reality of our presence going on. But I don't think, and I don't know if I'm going to be correct on this, I think a lot of marginalized groups, the objective is not making you small in order for them to be recognized. You don't need to do anything to dismiss or validate your voice and your perspective because you keep going back to like, oh, someone else should be doing this. Oh, someone else is like, no, you have the fucking shot. Take the fucking basketball and go. But like, as long as you're not like, yes, I know there's a concern about like, are there enough people talking about this? And maybe there are spaces to relate to it, but kind of like what they're saying before, if you don't feel like you can find a way to personally connect to it, then then that opportunity has then been used for something's pandering, which we don't want to have. So it's like it's okay for you to take your space and give your personal story. There isn't anything, there's not something lesser in your story you have to consider because you feel like you're trying to be inclusive to a larger group.
Although I
Thank you
will
so
say
much.
this, in honesty, what are the demographics of the speakers at this event?
I don't know that. Right now it exists as a spreadsheet, and so I know that several of them are representatives and physicians speaking, and I haven't had the time to research them specifically. Yeah, it's a great question for sure.
Yeah, I would find out the racial, specifically the racial demographics of who's speaking. It being like just me, and this is my opinion. I feel like a lot of these conversations, it typically is white women that are having that conversation. And yeah, like to your point earlier, and I don't know, did you ask the other woman if she would be willing to speak if she had an opportunity?
Um, I have not, because there's not an open line of communication. It's a really long story, but um, there's a lot of really difficult feelings in the professional midwifery community in Oklahoma as it relates to licensure And so we recently got licensure, and it's boring and complicated, but yeah, there is not an open line of communication with that midwife, and I'm really sad about that. It's not a good thing. Things are not in a good place.
Yeah,
So you're saying that because of the licensing, there's not an open line of communication?
That's kind of like the very basic.
because of harm and feelings in the past.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
and yeah, it's very complicated, and I'm honestly not that um I'm not skilled at speaking about it. It has to do with the clinic that I work at. Um,
Hmm.
doesn't interface with this other clinic. And it's complicated. So,
Okay. I mean, I feel like if you're going to be speaking at an event, and again, this is me, in my opinion, but if you're going to be speaking at an event and your thought was, I want to talk about the health disparities against Black women, one, you're in Tulsa, there are health disparities against Indigenous women too. So you definitely need to bring up, like, it's not just about Black women, like, you need to bring up Indigenous women and Black women. And if I were a white woman and I were in that same position, my instinctual thought would be to try to, one, figure out if there were people that were going to be on that panel that already represented those minority groups, and two, if there were not, I would be very vocal about it, and I would get permission beforehand from people that I knew and ask them, like, hey, if you had an opportunity for this, would you be up for it? And I would suggest to the panel that they bring them in. That's what I would do and let them speak for
yeah,
themselves. To Jeannie's
yeah.
point again, like,
Mhm.
I don't want anybody trying to tell my story who may not know my story. I want you to tell your own story, because your own
Yeah.
story is going to be impactful, because that's what actually matters to you. But at the
Mhm.
same time, knowing that you've already been invited to do this and that you are in a position where you may have a little more power than other people, I would
Mhm.
definitely use that power to uplift other voices.
Yeah. No, that's a great plan of action, and I really appreciate you sharing it. And I have wanted to make a connection with that new midwife and have tried, but there's no response because of the clinic that I'm associated with. She's blocked me on social media, and it's not anything personal between us, right? It has to do with loyalties and affiliations
Yeah.
around licensure, so it's complicated. But um,
Now,
I
there's
could possibly
also,
pursue other avenues of trying to reach out. Like I could get her email or something. Because I don't. She hasn't blocked me in a personal manner.
You don't
I
want to
don't know.
bombard her either. It's a
Yeah.
little odd that she would have blocked you in a personal manner, though, TBH. But I mean, like, you definitely don't want to bombard her, because, like, I know me personally, I have literally blocked people that are like, oh, I want to know how you feel about it, because I don't do free labor for people. Like, I refuse
yeah,
it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I definitely wouldn't do that. I think that the subject matter that you were thinking about speaking on, you don't necessarily need a midwife or a doula to speak on that. So there are probably other people that you could talk to, and
Oh,
even
that's a good
just
idea too.
having a
Yeah.
conversation with the people that are,
Mhm.
putting on this entire event. Like, hey, you need to have other voices here. If you can find out, and again, like, we don't know what the demographics are of the people that are speaking,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But I would definitely push that point, because quite frankly, I don't believe in white feminism at all. And what you're describing to me sounds like white feminism. And it, like, I don't follow that. So it's
Mhm.
like, hey, like,
Well, we
let's
know where that
find.
shit leads.
And so, I mean, it's just like, it's like, I would want to find out some more details. I would want to find out some more, just very clear details on things, like, what exactly is this going to be, because, like,
Yeah,
I'm not.
it's a women's march, so
right.
I've been to an event like that before. Um, So I don't know exactly what to expect. And like I said, it's all just email and spreadsheets right now, and I haven't had time to like really research too much about it. Um, but I'm really, really grateful that I brought it up in this space and got the feedback that you've shared. It's really helped me have clarity. because I knew I was like all wrong with it, you know? Like I was like, this isn't right. But it's all I got. And so I was just like, fuck.
Like I
So
said, I love your passion, and I love the energy that you bring to the things that you do. It's one of the things that I love being around you for, is watching you go rabid Wolverine on some of these topics. I also know that sometimes when you get rabid Wolverine on a subject that is not intensely personal, and it's something that you're just passionate about, you kind of lose your ability to connect to it, and it's just raw, rabid energy.
mm-hmm.
So being able to hold on to your meaning, being able to hold on to your purpose behind what you're talking about, that's going to make your message matter.
Man, y'all stabbed me in the face. I went to a home visit yesterday, and the midwife that's training me, we left, and we had to have a circumcision talk, which, if you know me at all, or you stalk my page, you know that that's one of my topics. And here I am counseling this mom, you know, she's 36 weeks with a boy, and I got too emotional. And when we left, my preceptor very gently and very firmly was like, they pay for information and not your emotions. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
It hurts.
This is a women's march in recognition of what happened with Roe.
Yeah. And we're supposed to wear green, I guess. Do you know? Does anybody know
I
why?
haven't heard anything about it. I typically don't get invited to those kind of things. But
Oh, white feminism. That is, I love what you said about not believing in white feminism. I love how you just
I mean, 'cause
deliver this even keel fucking shit, like, and it's just you're at a
well,
level that, like,
A
with
little
it.
bit of that is alcohol, but a lot of that is.
Yeah,
thank you,
No.
Zeman.
yeah.
You admitted it. You
Yes.
said it 4 times. I found my purpose and I'm giving it away.
in the moment, yes, Zeman is 100% correct. There is a considerable amount of this that is me trying to control the alcohol in my blood system. But Tori also knows that when I am speaking to her about these intensely personal issues, that I do have a tone. And this is the tone that I use in, and it's the message, you know, it's the way that I convey this. And I mean, Tori, this is me putting my instincts out there. All right. If I'm Tori, okay, and I'm using my public speaking brain that I have acquired over 40 years, my brain automatically goes to surrogacy was the gift of the autonomy that you had over your body to bring joy to another family's life because you possessed the privilege to do so. That is exactly where my brain is. If I am formulating a speech for you using your platform, your context, your background, but my brain is speaking, that's where I'm going. And speaking to what you've known, what you accomplished, and how you were able to do that.
And just to underline that in the sense of Roe v. Wade, the threat of, okay, well, if you get rid of this, then is surrogacy going to be next? Is there going to be an attack on being able to do IVF? Is there going to be an attack
Yeah.
on other things and tying it all into that? So yes, Jeannie, as always, you're beautiful.
Well, shit, guys. Like, just email me my speech, I guess. No. No, that's
Sweetie,
great.
you know that that's on my pay calendar. It's not on my free calendar, okay? And
Look, why are
one,
both of us shady? I'm like, I get paid for this shit.
I'm like,
I
look,
fucking
one,
believe it. Y'all should get paid for this shit because
you didn't put any alcohol in me. Two, I didn't get titties. So it's all on that.
Wait,
I also
were the
made a
titties?
sug- I
Titties.
also made a suggestion in the chat.
what?
Yeah. So anytime, so like the thing that I always tell people is like, people 1000% buy on emotion. When you are speaking in public, people are rooting for you to be engaging and be good. They don't want you to fail. But yeah, you definitely want to pull on heartstrings with certain things, and it's not that hard to do. I would legit be a supervillain if I had money. Like, human beings are so fucking predictable. It's ridiculous. Like, guys, like Jeannie, we could be supervillains together. Like,
Look,
I want
I
to
will tell you
remind.
That's hot.
flat
I want
out.
to remind y'all. I got the cute factor, and y'all was still falling for a little bit of tonight.
Z-Man, bye. I'm cute as fuck, and I can play an innocent role too.
Z-Man.
Okay.
You
Z-Man.
fell for it tonight. You don't realize how evil I could be with money. You fell for it.
Z-Man.
Yes.
I want to tell you that what the three of us have that you don't have is big pussy energy. So, hush.
BP energy.
Mean.
I make people bitch.
But that's what,
I have
I mean,
a-
Tori got me started with that, and I'm like, damn it. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't have the whiskey in my system. But the reality
You
is
tried to
what,
get a ghillie suit for a sexy cookie monster.
Yeah.
There.
That was my theory. That was my theory. That was what made the most sense.
He didn't even go with shag carpeting first. He went straight to ghillie suit.
He went straight to ghillie
Because
suit.
it has to cover the whole body. Who's put shag carpet all over their body?
A
The
Muppet.
whole body covered.
sweetie, they used to do
it's a
custom
Cookie Monster.
vans. There is shag carpeting that'll cover the whole body.
No,
Hey,
not,
wait.
I'm
I
not
need
talking about.
everybody-
No. I don't mean
Really?
enough shag carpet to cover the body. I mean nobody has a suit already made of shag carpeting, or the crowd, or not everyone has the
Mascot.
craftsmanship to turn it around.
Hold on, Zeman. I
That's
need you to
hell.
finish this
Yes.
sentence. I need you to finish this sentence.
Okay.
This will be the litmus test, okay?
Okay.
My neck, my back.
Can I say this on live? I know the answer. I know the answer. Can I say it?
Yeah.
I mean, Jeannie, just say it. Okay. My pussy, my crack.
And my. See, you know.
That's all shag carpeting, Zeman.
You didn't prove that was shag carpet. You just proved it was shaggy.
Like, wow, man.
Don't make me
See,
mute
it's
you.
for cookie. It's
But
good
what I
enough
was
for
going
me.
to say is that going back to tugging on the heartstrings, Bazinga's right. Look, I am only 2 nerve endings that are related to the interior sense of conscience away from being a televangelist, okay? I could be a fucking millionaire right now. But for fuck's sake, I've got morals. And it's like, I wish I didn't, because I could be financially independent and not have to worry about this, nor fucking an old guy to get it. So, you know, it doesn't hurt to use what is already manipulatable. ML, is that a word?
Manipulatable.
Yes.
Manipulatable. Also, who gives a fuck? Shakespeare made up words. But
That's true.
Malleable. Is that a better word?
Ooh, malleable. I like that one.
I like
That
malleable.
does
I like
it.
I like
malleable.
malleable. So why not use what is already malleable? These people want to be emotionally stroked.
But can I also just expand on that? I'm not just talking about to get people to feed on motion, but Tori talked about trying to look for what her story is and what connects to her. So I'm also talking about like the thing that invokes it out of you. I feel like that's closer to the thing that's most true to you. So like whenever you talk about, I remember like when I went through my mental health crisis, and I had to sit down with the therapist after group and stuff. I remember there was a certain point at which I had the unuttered thought, or I had the thought I had the thought that was scarier to say, and I knew which one was scary because that's when I started choking up. That's when it was like froze. That's when I like got nervous to say it out loud, because like your truth is also held sometimes in the things that you're working to bring out. You're working to say, but the things you start to tear up when you start to realize. Again, that's case by case depending on what it is, but I'm saying like a lot of times when you're coming closer to something that's raw and real, your body sometimes psychosomatically responds to it.
Darkness often bears the brighter light.
And he cried about the cookie.
Ain't nobody crying about no damn cookies.
Give me a chance. You'll cry.
Vegan Vogue just joined, and like I tell you, I love Vegan Vogue. I need you guys to follow Vegan Vogue. The recipes are like A1. I have made them. I need you to follow him.
You
Please.
said frog
Wait.
and I'm jumping.
Wait a minute. Vegan Vogue does recipes
Yes, like good ones.
that are vegan.
Look, I'm not a vegan, and I cook these recipes all the time. Like they're good.
Look, if I start, and Tori will attest to this, if I start following anybody who does vegan recipes, I'm going to have to start following people who drive electric vehicles.
Okay, I feel like you're gonna have to do it because you need to follow Vegan Vogue.
And I
You will love
promise you're
Vegan
gonna
Vogue.
you're
Okay.
gonna find a
Wait.
TikTok of a person in a ghillie suit driving an electric vehicle. That's gonna be your next follow before you realize.
We're back to the ghillie suit. Oh my god.
All day, every day. There is somebody turned on by a ghillie suit, whatever. I'm sure it is. Forget y'all.
Have you ever been to an airsoft tournament in California?
No, but I've been to a pumpkin chunkin' in Rehoboth.
What?
Oh, I need to tell y'all the tea.
Oh god. Okay, spill.
Okay, this
Wait.
is very WPS.
What is WPS?
You know what WPS is.
White people shit.
Thank you,
Oh,
Tori.
okay, there we go. Okay, it's a
Oh,
What?
sweetie.
I'm drinking shot.
I'm a
You're
bitch.
fine.
Tell me the story first. Okay, anyway.
These are not sensitive white people here.
So I was my junior year of high school. I promise, it's very, very brief. Junior year of high school, and I went with my best friend Adam, and his family had a small like shotgun house kind of thing in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware. And for some reason, they agreed to go in November. So they're going out to the beach in November, which of course was freezing cold. I was like, why the hell are we at the beach here? And I forgot to bring sweaters. So it was very cold the first time I got there. Second night, they drive us out like it was like an hour out away from the beach, and we were going to this event, and we're going. Now, mind you, this was like a nice. Well, not I shouldn't say nice. Actually, I want to retract that. This was a my friend Adam. There was a Caucasian Jewish family in this community who didn't seem to have any big rural ties. But we go to this event. I don't know. I guess they were invited. Thought it was interesting, and they called it a pumpkin chunkin, which I remember Modern Family referenced it, which I was thank God. And it's basically people competitively will shoot pumpkins out of their own personally designed catapults and see who goes farther,
Yeah.
the farthest.
I
That is
mean,
definitely WPS.
That is
Shit.
definitely WPS.
pumpkin
Because I'm
chunkins
like,
has...
bitch, can't you eat that? The fuck? Can you eat it?
The best one, here's the thing, the best one I saw, which I'm still trying to understand this. This person built this, like, I can't describe the word, but this Gatlin large pew resembling, like, long, like it looked like it's to send a missile out. And then we saw them eject a pumpkin out, but by the time it literally left the device, it was already in pieces, which are kind of like, what was the point of? It's in chunks by the time you had already shot it. Right?
I'm
It's
not
a
even
chunky
gonna
pump.
lie. I'm not gonna lie. The science side of me that likes to build shit and like figure things out with math and things would have so much fun with that. So much
Look,
freaking fun.
Pumpkin Chunkin has put trebuchet back into the American English vernacular.
Where was this at, Zeman? You're not too far away from me. You're like 12 hours. Like, where was this at? Maybe I can just.
Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, which is only an hour from me.
Oh God, that's like
Wait a minute. Rehoboth?
Rehoboth Beach.
Damn, I've been saying it
I think
wrong. Of
there's
course, I'm
more.
from the South, so we say it
There
differently.
might be more than one. This is specifically the one in Delaware.
Rehoboth.
Excuse me, Jeannie, but
Huh?
can
More like
I?
Rehoboth. Oh yeah, please, sorry.
Sorry. Can I stab you back in the face? Like
Yes,
with
honey.
the. Yes. Okay. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe if we check your cholesterol, then you would want to try a vegan recipe.
236.
Oh,
Hey, actually,
Try
I'm
a vegan
gonna jump
recipe.
in here a little bit. I'm gonna jump in here a little bit because technically, like, I have a degree in dietetics, so
ooh.
technically a nutritionist. But I was a biochemistry major. It's a story, but either
Isn't that
way,
Scientology?
cholesterol is more so genetic. I had high cholesterol when I was a child, which was totally genetic. So you just need to eat more oatmeal, okay, boo? Like, eat more oatmeal. I am not vegan and my cholesterol's fine now. I am not vegan. I will never be vegan. But I do accidentally eat vegan by accident a lot of times, which is
That's
why
awesome.
I love the recipes.
The funny thing
That's
around
cool.
the diaspora is like we realized after a while that like sometimes we were unintentionally vegan on days depending, but it's not a put
Yes.
on. It's not a put on thing. Some of our dishes just don't require dairy. You have to realize that we're in a whole section of sub-Saharan. There's a whole section of sub-Saharan Africa where like we have grains, we'd make stews, chickpea sauce, tomatoes, onions. Like you didn't need. Occasionally we'd throw yogurt on something in order to cool it down because it's a little bit spicy. It's a little yeah, but it's but like you didn't. But even then, my parents just did that because we were kids and it would like help us. Ultimately, they would just eat everything perfectly fine. Most of the stuff we have doesn't require milk or dairy. And then it was only once I was like a full blown adult I was like, oh, when someone explained it, it's like, oh, we've already been doing this.
Yeah. Which is it.
So,
Like, and I just love vegetables. So, like, I do the exact same thing by accident. I love vegetables, and then I will eat. Like, I try different recipes from different regions in the world. So, I'm accidentally vegetarian more so, I would say, than vegan because a bitch loves cheese. I just got done eating fucking feta cheese by itself. But it's so salty and delicious. But cholesterol is definitely genetic, the same way that like typically even like diabetes, like there are things that you can do that will increase your
Yeah.
chances of having it, but it is very much it's very much genetic. Like
Well,
I
I also
have
want to add.
blood pressure is low, is on definitely on the
too.
low end of normal. If you saw how much salt I eat, you would be like, Jesus fuck girl.
I live on diet soda, and I'd still like. I've always had really low blood pressure. Real quick, the one thing I remember I borrowed from my cardio classes was I had a teacher who I'm going to try to explain this carefully. They're like, if you were to open the arteries of young children, you can still find deposits of cholesterol up and down, even like young children on a relatively healthy diet who have like don't have the years and years of heart disease and angina and stuff that like a middle-aged man might necessarily look at.
So I can tell you that for almost, I want to say 12 years, I tracked my cholesterol between regular diet, a heavy oatmeal diet, because I was eating oatmeal all the time, a non-purge bulimic period in my life, and post gallbladder surgery. So these were all major events that impact, how we process food. My cholesterol never moved more than 10 points up or down. It stayed centered in the 230s. So when you said, let's check your cholesterol, I said 236. That is the maximum point that my cholesterol has ever been.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, again, thank you for the education. But I definitely know that there can be health benefits to eating less animal protein. Like if you eat a lot of animal, I mean, I've read a lot of research about like the Mediterranean diet and the risks that come with all of the animal products that are
Yeah.
Can I
so
toss
common
in
in there.
here? Can
Yeah.
I just toss in here, like again, this is a different perspective, but the
Mhm.
obsession with the Mediterranean diet is definitely based in Western racism, like
Oh yeah.
110%. So
Tell me more.
it's
Definitely. Yeah, because I
so
mean,
like again, like I said, like scientifically, like the science behind it is
Mhm.
the cholesterol is going to be very much controlled by genetics. There are certain things that you can do. So like
Oh yeah.
oatmeal
So
fixes
then,
cholesterol.
uh-huh. So is
So
what you're saying that people like that come from a place that eat the Mediterranean diet could have a genetic component that just regulates the cholesterol differently?
yes,
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that makes perfect sense.
When you look at, so I read the blue zones, and there's only one group in the blue zones that is Caucasian.
Mm,
And when you look at their diet, it is significantly different than the Mediterranean, the Asian, and the middle American diets.
hmm
The way that the Seventh-day Adventists eat does contribute to their longevity. But for the most part, they are Caucasian.
mm,
When you look at the other blue zones, they are very genetically and ethnically centered.
mm,
So if you wanted to talk about any diet that leans to a more, or I should say a less meat dependent diet, the only group of people that could probably have any kind of validity in that would be a Seventh-day Adventist based diet
hmm.
for a Caucasian.
Yeah, I'm definitely deconstructing veganism. I had a long exposure to it with some really close friends that were really radical vegans, and I can't stand vegans now, like for the most part. I mean, sure, there's going to be like exceptions, but
Right.
I definitely have been deconstructing that and again sharing that information. What do you go by? Is it wannabe Zinga?
wannabe
Wannabe?
Nzinga. So Nzinga. So Queen Nzinga. I keep telling people look up Queen Nzinga because that's because she was the boss. But
Okay, I will.
but
Nazinga. Okay. Thank you for
Nzinga.
correcting
I
me.
do not work in the field right now. I was a biochemist, so I was a biochemistry major when I was in college. I changed my major and graduated out in a year in dietetics. So I have a degree in dietetics. I do actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. Um, in my core, I'm a scientist, but people need money to survive and shit happens. But either way it goes, like there's certain things, like there are definitely certain fallacies that I think get repeated through certain diets that are not one accessible for all people that are
Absolutely.
needing to eat food, which is 100% of the population. And then two, it kind of demonizes certain diets that there is no morality that needs to be placed on food. Food is food, it's energy. That's all it is.
And when you
So,
look at obesity rates, when you look at health rates, when you look at a lot of the issues of, where some of the worst health is, it is going to be very correlated to food deserts.
yes.
And
Yes,
when you
which is
start
very
talking,
true because yes.
when you start talking about a specialized diet like Mediterranean or any other specialized diet, you have already written out food deserts.
So in real life, because when I say like I accidentally eat vegetarian all the time, I would not consider myself to be poor by any means. I will go to the grocery store and will buy everything but fruit and still drop $130, like period, right? I do not expect other people to have the money to be able to do that at all. I go to like I even have videos where it's like I go down to farmers markets and I go to Eastern Market and shit like that so that I can get more fruits and vegetables a little bit cheaper and a little like they have locally grown food.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that is me living in my privilege because I have a car so I can drive my ass down there and I
Yeah.
have weekends off. So I can get there, right? I
Yeah.
don't expect other people to be able to live within that diet. And I think that there is a lot of not even just morality, because I do think that morality is attributed to food, but I think there is a bit of, well, you should just be doing this. That is
Mm-hmm.
also attributed to food. And 99% of it is going to depend on your, like, literally, if you saw a picture of me, I got hips and ass for days. Got hips and motherfucking ass for days. Bitches used to ask me all the time, like, what is your workout? Because I have a tiny waist, right? It's genetics.
Yeah,
I
same.
put on 20
Well,
pounds since I worked at this place and I still have a tiny waist. It's genetics.
I,
But also compare that to, I remember I was in undergrad, and a lot of times, even though me and my friend Jessica, we were both working part time, running the front desk of our apartment. But we were like, oh, hey, we want to go grocery shopping, but there weren't grocery stores that were like on campus or around, really. So then they were like, we wanted to actually get like real food. We were kind of we didn't want we always get like takeout and stuff and things are like super close by. There was I think it's like a Food Lion that was a few miles up the road on campus. Neither of us had a car. We walked in the middle of campus, got on a shuttle that went and dropped us off there. Stopped at Best Buy, which is next door for a second. Then went, got our groceries. Probably only like $40 worth of food, but still carrying in big bags. Waited probably an hour to try to get to coordinate with the next shuttle to get on it. Didn't find it. Then ended up having to call a cab to come over. This is like 2010 or stuff, so this is way before Uber and everything. Waited for a cab to come pick us up, bring us over. So like our grocery run was like 11 a.m. to 4:30.
oh shit.
Because there were times where like in the groceries there was like getting together, then walking to campus, then waiting for that shuttle, then that shuttle taking us, then both of us taking a while to like do our grocery shopping, then somehow we lost 2 hours trying to find a way to get back to campus, basically. Well, I mean that by that I mean like there were privileges I did not have as a broke college student that like now I can go to Little in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And time,
And I was
time is a resource.
Also that.
So,
like
real
it's
quick,
wild because I was a college student that wasn't broke. I'm sorry, I'm shut up.
Nzinga. Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Nzinga.
Thank you. All right. I didn't want to get the wrong one because you said read up, and that's what I'm going to do.
Actually,
So.
you know what? I'm lying to you. So she was the queen of Angola. So essentially it's wannabe Nzinga, because Nzinga fought against the slave trade, against the Portuguese, the English, and against her own people. She fought against the slave trade. There is a whole story that is kind of traumatic with her and her brother. There are rumors, like they don't know exactly what happened, but her brother had her sterilized, and then there are quote unquote rumors that her brother had murdered, which I'm like, yes, girl, go off. And she was a literal warrior queen. So there are pictures of her where she is sitting on one of her subjects because she went into the court of Queen Elizabeth, I want to say, and she was the only African queen that was recognized by England. they brought her into the court, did not offer her up any chairs or anything, and she had one of her subjects lean over as if he were a chair, and she sat on him to be on same footing with Queen Elizabeth. So, like, Queen Nzinga is the West African warrior goddess that I needed to know existed as a child, and I read about her in my 20s, and ever since then I've been like, yes, burn the bitch down. Like, it is
Yeah.
what it is, because that was
So,
Queen Nzinga.
I
so
love it.
I'm
Thanks for
I'm
sharing
looking
about
at
her.
this because it's the name changes here.
Yes.
So Nzinga, but I also see it spelled
Nzinga.
Njinga.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you for pointing this out. Njinga received her name because the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck. The Kumbundu verb kujinga means to twist or turn.
That's cool.
Wow. Okay. When I'm sober, I'm gonna read this.
Hey, will you send
Fair
me
enough.
that?
I appreciate it.
Jeannie, will you send me that?
What?
Will you send me that
Yeah, man.
reading?
I'm just on Wikipedia.
It sounds like she's got some big pussy energy, like the biggest.
Where are you?
She was the first. So, I mean, like, for me, the black girl in Detroit that was growing up going through Catholic schools who had a very in-depth family history. These are the people that it's like I wanted to learn about in history. She had a huge part in history, and I was not taught it. I found it out literally in my 20s, and I was like, man, this is me, because I always kind of felt like in my soul in a past life I was a warrior. That's how I felt. I was like, if past lives are real, I was whooping somebody's ass in past life. That's how I
Yeah.
felt.
Can I? Okay,
And
I just. No, go ahead. I want to share something after you're done.
no, it's okay. I was just gonna say, like, I just like related to her on a few different levels where it's just like, yeah, because I did that shit too.
Well, before Tori jumps in here, I just want to say that I love having hot friends. I mean, Nzinga's over here with ass for days. ML comes in and well, I don't know what's going on with the hair,
It
but
is the Fabio
shit.
hair. It's
And then
working. The
Tori
Fabio hair is working.
Tori knows that if given I get her drunk enough, there was going to be a lot of fun. So, but I can only look like this. Damn it, fucking straight people.
I'm always on call. You can't get me to drink right now. I got 14 babies on deck. I gotta be sober.
And I can't drink yet because I am still in my classroom.
No drinking.
Man,
in the
fuck them
classroom.
kids. No, just not
No, I gotta
and
drive
have
home. That's
a
the
cup of
problem.
whiskey.
Yeah, what
Oh,
what
what
was it like that? A person was let off the case because it's not illegal to drink and teach at the same time.
I saw
That
that.
sounds-
It,
Right?
I
That
my
sounds wonderful
TikTok
to me.
open. My TikTok open. She taught second graders.
Yes.
No, second, fourth grader. No, second
He
graders.
needed that
Second graders.
motherfucking drink. Second graders? Are you
She
fucking
taught
kidding
second
me?
graders.
He needed
She
that
was
drink.
visibly. No, here's the one thing though, and I know this is gonna make me the asshole. I'm sorry, but like, I like the fact that they couldn't charge DUI completely makes sense. I'm a little funny about the child endangerment charge being dropped because not everybody is the same kind of alcoholic. Even if you a teacher, not everyone the same kind of alcoholic.
She was a fun alcoholic. It was fine. The kids were way more engaged.
That is one kind of alcoholic, and being a teacher does not necessarily mean you the fun kind of alcoholic. Some of it is
I
like the dad
approve of
and
that message.
Some
I
of it,
approve
if
of
you're
the
fun,
message.
if you're fun, cool. But some people are the dad after school after kind of alcoholic.
Look, listen to me, okay? I started getting totally overwhelmed because I had my mom here, and my mother had agreed to watch my nephew the day before. I said no because I had to host a baby shower virtually for my little cousin, and then my mom breaks her ankle, right? So then it's like, well, who's gonna watch Jonathan? So I end up having Jonathan come over here, which my nephew is a literal fucking angel. I stopped smoking because of this kid. I love my nephew, right? Everybody else in the world could get bent. My nephew is amazing.
Right.
So like I am trying to host a baby shower, take care of my mother, and entertain my nephew while distracting my dog, who is a literal crackhead who just keeps barking all the time, right?
Right.
And I was like, I can't. I'm getting totally overwhelmed and took an edible. That the second grader needed a fucking edible. The second
But here's
grader,
the thing.
the second
I will
grade
go to
teacher,
town. But here's the
I'm
thing.
mad about it.
I will go to town for anyone who takes an edible and then goes to teach second graders. Honestly, you're probably gonna come out the same way. But but my only thing is, I don't want to make presumptions just because I heard teacher, because I don't know, because at the same time in 8th grade, my English teacher, like, we started out with one English teacher who was always just kind
Bro,
of
you
sitting
were
there
in 8th grade.
shaking
Quit
and
complaining.
shit. What? No, that's
I'm like,
irrelevant
you're
to the point.
13. Shut up.
No, we were in 8th grade. This guy is like kind of listless. He's clearly tired, that kind of stuff. Next thing you know, in the homeroom before me, we just know that he disappeared and they had to bring in subs. We don't know why. They later explained, because someone, like, witnesses from and again, this is middle school, I know, but they were literally explaining, this was like the teacher, who clearly looks hungover or whatever, went, screamed at a kid, threw chalk in their face, ran out the door, and just got in his car and drove off in the middle of the
What?
day. Like he went apeshit, and I'm like, there are people who, when they get drunk, they're going to start throwing hands regardless of the person that they at. I'm not assuming that because this person's a teacher that they're a perfect angel when they intoxicated.
I actually don't disagree with that.
I'm going to
That's
argue
my only
that
thing.
I'm going to argue that given the circumstances of education today, you don't even have to be inebriated to be a teacher and do that.
That's also
Probably.
true.
Also true. That's the only thing
Yeah,
where it's
you
like,
guys
DWI, fine.
ever watch that
but,
Jim
like,
Jeffries stand up when he's talking about gun control?
No.
And he's
I
he's
think
like
I remember it. Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah.
like giving pew-pews to teachers, and he's like, yeah, that's not a great idea, because we all know that one substitute that would come in and we'd all look at each other and say, we're gonna make her cry. Yeah, let's give that one a gun.
Yeah.
I just
No, I
learned that
remember that
Oklahoma
one.
actually already has that law in the books. In Oklahoma, teachers can have guns in the classroom, and teachers are not, parents are not informed about it. I learned this from the superintendent of the Stillwater Public Schools, who told me that, yeah, it's mostly used in the rural schools when the response time for the police, is high or something. I don't know.
Jesus.
It's
Days.
just crazy. It's a
They
terrible
would
idea.
1000% fucking do that in goddamn Oklahoma. Like,
They fucking would, and they did.
my
just so
best
you know.
friend is a teacher, and when they started talking about that, the level, like, and I mean best friends as in we've known each other since freshman year of high school. I am 42 fucking years old. I have known this girl for almost 3 decades, okay?
Yeah.
Like, the level of anger that I feel, where it's like, oh, well, they could just carry guns, and talking to her about it, where she's like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Because at the end of the day, if something happened, it's more likely that it's going to be from a student that I actually fucking taught myself.
I was gonna say, I remember I saw this story too. It's like, okay, yeah, bring me a gun, then I have to go to a showdown with a student that I might actually have, that I've spent basically years emotionally investing into and wanted to see their growth in the future.
Yeah, it's what is it?
It's
Uh,
absolutely
fantasy?
disgusting.
It's the delusional fantasy that the teachers are gonna somehow wield guns and keep everybody safe. It's just so ridiculous.
Well, but the
Oh,
Which
thing
also,
is
which
like,
also
at
dates
the end,
back
and
to.
I've had this conversation with my BFF, right? Like, I love her. Like, this is my sister, okay? And I've been the one where it's like, if it comes down, and she got out of the classroom, so she's like the math coach now, but she got out of the classroom. But I was like, look, if it comes down to you or the students, I'm gonna need you to let go of that whole bullshit idea of just because they're kids, their life is worth more than yours because I need you, your parents need you, your husband needs you, your family needs you. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Can I
what
al-
is the idea that these people are just supposed to sacrifice themselves because of age? The
can
fuck?
can I also add to that like because you can add. Okay, I'm gonna give an example of what we were trying to allude to Tori earlier because I want to take something that we are talking to you before and connect it to my personal experience. Okay, so I had mental health crisis in 2013. I left my grad school for it, and so I went into a day hospital for a few months where I was getting intensive help. In that time, the demographics or groups that I saw myself around, because I basically had major depression, I think was exacerbated by burnout, but the best I could kind of piece together. The groups of people that at one point really frequented the group we were all doing together were nurses, teachers, and stay-at-home mothers. Stay-at-home mothers. And so we were going through these inventories of just sort of like how well do you prioritize yourself? We all said 0. How well do you put other needs before you? We all said like 10 or something high. We do all these sort of things where you see all those sort of things. And I'm bringing this up because there is a tendency particularly from conservatives or from people, and even some politicians in general, who will run in droves to immortalize, not that they're not valid and wonderful professions, but they will nobilize, immortalize, and romanticize professions and give their love in that regard instead of actually giving a fuck about giving them protections that actually improve their life. They would rather take the shitty situation that I'm in and glorify them than actually help them fix the shitty situation.
But do you know why?
Power, control.
Performative.
They don't make money out of all those professions. They can make money out
No.
of other things.
No. It is because one of the central tenets to conservative evangelical fundamentalism is that self-sacrifice is a higher value than self-care and self-preservation. Because they will quote to you that you're to love God first and you are to love your neighbor as yourself. But the way that they interpret that is that you will love your neighbor sacrificially while at the same time ignoring your own needs, because then they will quote, greater love has no one than this, then they will lay down their life for another. So they have a very conservative evangelical fundamentalist Protestant value built into American civilization, is that if you sacrifice yourself, you have a greater value to society. Therefore, the shittier your health is, the greater you are.
How does that line up with the televangelists who are clearly making millions of dollars and driving in luxury cars?
Yeah, and then the like whole hierarchy.
It's called
of,
manipulation.
the whole hierarchy.
In front of your face.
Why do you think I'm only 2 nerve endings of conscience away from being a fucking televangelist? I know how to work the system.
I love that you
Would you still
know
have a wig?
accurately.
Would you still have a wig if you had televangelist?
I'm just saying, like, Jeannie, you and I, oh my God. Oh my God, we could totally team up. Because, like, you know what I would do, right? Because I have this voice where I'm just like, no, I completely understand what it is you're going through. I've been there before too, but you know you're not alone. This is a human experience. We all need to experience this together. Why don't you come over here so you can tell me a little bit more?
That's mostly her and a little bit of alcohol.
Oh no, that's mostly me. Cause like, trust me, I say this to people, and I'm like, y'all motherfuckers think I'm joking. If I had the money, I would be a fucking supervillain because I would be a menace, an absolute menace on society.
No, but hang on. You and I can team up to be villains. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But a side job? Fuck yes, we're going into a double dominatrix business together. Because holy hell.
Because, like,
my
Mr.
God,
Cole,
that voice.
I do have this voice.
Yes. I love
would
you
tell-
too, Party Monster.
It's a dream for me. Like I'm like, oh my god, I wish I could do it because I would just be like, you're such a
I
piece
got
of shit.
I got to introduce a friend of mine to a dungeon for the first time in her entire life a week ago, and she was blown away by it and was having a blast beating the shit out of somebody by the time the end of the night was over.
All right.
I am
I'm
really
going to head on
surprised.
out and drive home.
I
You
was
guys are still
like,
on when I get home?
I start going back to the sex stuff.
Wait,
ML's like, I'm out. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done with
Wait.
this.
Your fine ass home, ML.
Wait. Bye, ML. Have a good night.
I'm so tired and I just need to drive home.
Have a great night, ML.
Listen to country.
Nah,
It always keeps me awake because I fucking hate it.
Did
Oh,
you
no,
just say
I'm-
country?
You said listen to country. It keeps you awake because you hate it.
Mhm.
Oh, I hate country too. Okay, we agree on that.
It's a
I've
trick
got-
to keep stay awake, and then you can play the game where you just wait for the chorus and then you know the name of the song.
No.
It's a
Oh my
thing
God,
where
have you
keep
seen
the
that?
chorus.
What's his name?
No, it's the end of the
Drums?
chorus.
Seth Drums. He does AI. He gets AI to create country songs with specific words used. One of them was glue balloons. It was hilarious. God, you've got to watch it.
Why did my BFF at work send that
Oh.
shit to me? I know exactly what you're
No,
talking
I
about.
remember. I saw one. It was an AI country song, and they waited to like ramp up into the chorus, and then immediately was like, and I sodomy, insert sodomy phrase. And like, we all literally were like, wait,
Every
what?
one of them goes that way.
Or
Oh
you
my
can
God.
listen the other way and listen to Beyonce's country, and it's fucking amazing, and it will keep you.
Cowboy Carter is great. Like it is great.
That's a
Like it's
bomb.
legitimately a good album.
Oh my
But I
god,
want
she
to-
just
I'm-
like took country
I-
and she was like, You know what I mean?
I don't even like. I feel like okay. So when she did Spaghetti, I feel like Spaghetti is sorry, ML. I feel like Spaghetti was literally the answer for the entire album because she has like probably like 4 or 5 legitimately country songs on that album, but the rest of it is definitely a blend. And she's like, "Look, this is for my like." She like, "Look." Like it is what it is. It's black folk. Like we up in here. Like it is what it is. And I love Beyonce for that because I'm just like, yeah. 'Cause-
Amazing. I'd never really listened to her albums, and I was listening to her whole album and not just the singles, and I heard the song Formation.
Oh, you're so adorable.
Yes.
Formation.
Like that shit.
Like
God.
all of Lemonade. So Lemonade was the first album that she came out with that I was like, oh, this is for black folk. Like you listen to Lemonade, that shit is for black women. That shit all the way through is for.
All right,
Well,
I
look,
already
that
got, like,
entire album.
The
They
young,
have a song
well,
on
hold
there
up,
called Black
wait.
Parade. Okay,
Wait,
let's be so fucking.
Literally, the song. No, literally the song. Hold up.
Hold up,
I've
I love you.
Wait.
Down
I've
there.
got
But no,
Fishbone
but
and
we gonna
Rainbow
talk about
in my
Black
cardigan,
Parade,
so-
okay?
They don't love you like
We gonna
Okay,
talk
guys,
about Black
if you're
Parade.
still on,
Emma was
I'll
like,
see
I
you
Now
need
in
to
a
you're
run
going
away.
to evil.
something
Bye,
that's
Emma.
right because it
Bye,
ain't
Emma.
right, especially coming up after midnight.
Because why the fuck you coming up in my crib after midnight? The fuck, where the fuck were
The
you?
way,
Like,
the way I saw Titus and Andromeda's version before I actually saw Beyonce's version. I saw the Kimmy Schmidt version.
I did too. And like the thing that's so wild about it is like I got through like a very 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 painful breakup, and I
Yeah.
listened to that album and I was like, there's something healing about this shit because nah, for real, like the fuck
But
is
then
wrong
it
with you?
actually, but then they actually made it because again, it's for Ridiculous Can't Be Shown. They make it actually. He actually connects everything back to different songs in the album. But then other things that were clearly ridiculous. But the other
Yes.
person was just sort of like he literally connects his breakup to the I can't remember
Titus
the name of the
Burrs
song.
is an icon. He's an
Titus
absolute
Burrs, yes, thank
icon.
you.
Like, and I need people to leave it alone. But literally, Black Parade is the song that's like, nah, this is for us. This is for the brown folk. Like, Black Parade was it.
I haven't heard that one.
Look,
But I did want to tell you.
But I'll play.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm
I was
an
gonna say, I was
ancient
playing
ass Gen
Freedom.
Xer who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and it's like that's the only music I know.
I'm just saying, like, because Beyonce, like, cause party, cause you remember, like, cause we like to party, like that song, like, it's okay, I still love you, but like that Beyonce, fucking bills, like they can't pay my bills, can't pay my telephone, but like bills, Beyonce with Destiny Child versus
Bugaboo.
Lemonade. Like literally Lemonade was the first album that she came out with that it was like, oh no, she did this shit for my black ass. Like Lemonade was it.
Okay, and Zinga, remember,
Nine,
okay,
20.
remember, I grew up in southeastern Oklahoma.
You
during
sure as
the
fuck
80s
did.
and the early 90s. I
You know
worked at
Dolly
a country
Parton
radio
inside and out.
station in the 90s, early 90s. So it's like Destiny's Child. That only
This
came
true.
on during certain programs on the weekend.
This is very true, and I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking. Look, I'm a part of the Beehive. I'm gonna shut the hell up because I try not to be. I literally try not to be, and then fucking Lemonade came out, and I was like, "This bitch is a goddamn genius."
So it's
Yeah.
Tori's fault. Tori started this shit by bringing
Hey,
up
hold
him.
on. I
Tori?
don't want to forget that I was going to tell you. You said that your name is based on believing that if you had a past life, you were a warrior goddess, right? Or a warrior priestess, or what? What did you say?
So literally, I feel like learning about Queen Nzinga kind of healed something in me as a child because we don't hear about Black people, or I don't even want to say Black. We don't hear about Africans, specifically West African. So like with me, I am like a good bit Nigerian. I'm a good bit from Benin and Togo, right? Which are right next to each other if you look at it on the map. So it makes sense when you look at migration patterns. So I am truly West African, and at the same time, I am also truly American because I have pretty much every single genetic group in me that is in the Americas, right?
Right.
Fun times, we know how they got there. But either way it goes, like,
Well, I
for
want to
me-
apologize on behalf of the Germans, the English, and the Irish.
you know, mostly the English and Irish.
Right.
But, you know, my little cousins actually found out they might have land in Scotland, so maybe not. I'm just saying. But
There
anyway,
you go.
but like Queen Nzinga kind of healed something in me because I hear this story about a woman, who kind of came across indescribable odds. She found her own power. She started breaking shit, like literally just setting shit on fire, breaking shit. And
Yeah.
it was a very relevant story that I had never heard about until I was probably like, honestly, like 26. And I read about her and I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, how have I never heard about this woman? And it's because we don't hear about African history in school. Like they teach history about Black Americans as if we started with slavery. We did not start with slavery. So everything that you hear is like, oh, like your people were enslaved and then,
Right.
you know, they toiled and then it was the civil rights movement. And it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I have shit that is literally in my DNA. Like the fuck, like I know, like Jeannie, you've seen like the videos I post where it's like I've been building shit and I have like my whole, yeah. So I didn't even know this, and I was looking at a frame. So my grandmother, there's a painting of my grandmother that was born in 1912 that my mom still has in her house. And I stopped one day and I looked at the frame and I'm like, Mom, I'm like, you guys grew up poor as fuck in Mississippi. Like, and when I mean poor as fuck, like my grandmother was a sharecropper in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys grew up poor as hell. I'm like, how do you have this super ornate frame on this picture? And she's like, well, you know, your uncle was a master woodworker.
Yeah.
And he actually worked on the White House. Like he worked on buildings in the Capitol building. Like he was
Oh,
a
fuck.
master woodworker. I did not know that. And that is shit
Oh.
that is in my fucking blood that I didn't know. That shit that has been systematically erased
Right?
that I didn't know. And I'm like, oh, well, that explains a lot of why I'm like, oh, I'm just going to build some shit. Like, it's literally in my blood.
Look,
I was gonna expand on the thing you said before, where I walked in my seventh grade social studies class, and I knew the chapters we were focusing on, and then I went a little further back, and it's literally a photograph of a Wayani soldier who basically looks like me, or
yeah,
looks like my cousin, or looks like stuff, and I see the caption. It's literally describing the civil war that broke out in my own country, the history of my own country's history and fraction. And I'm hitting this around 2001. It would have happened throughout the 70s, basically
hmm,
throughout the 70s. It's a chapter in the book that the school approved, but it's not the section that's on the syllabus. So, despite the fact that was the most progressive social studies class I had, there was no, and we're supposed to be world cultures. There was not going to be a single mention of that because
yeah,
there was not because they weren't European. We didn't even learn
right.
about the fucking like me and Zing. If you remember, like we had a whole long ass conversation about the Moors. I had a whole seventh grade class never talked about the fucking Moors once, or in 10th grade we did
Yep.
world history. Never talked
Wow.
about it anyway. We didn't learn about the Ottoman Empire. Like I barely knew
Yep.
that was a thing. Like we didn't learn anything about Turkish people or anything. We didn't learn anything about Chinese culture, like nothing, unless they were
Wow.
basically white European Jewish.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Y'all, I'm
I agree.
Faden. I love you all. Thank you
All
so
right,
much
Tori. Love you, honey.
for all of your insight. See you soon. Have a good
Okay.
rest of your day.
All right.
Good night.
Yeah, this day is almost over. I can promise you that. But, and Zinga, I was going to say that, you know, I appreciate the story of, your connection to this master woodworker. But at the same time, I am impressed and proud of you for doing the thing that you did. Because it's like you went in there and you built this pantry.
I can't lie. I was proud of myself too. I was like, bitch, you did that! And it still isn't even done, but it's fine.
Now, I also want to say that I laughed my ass off because the first video I saw, it said something about panties. And, well, yes, that immediately got my interest. But then I saw what you did and I was like, oh shit, I'm impressed. Goddamn, you're more capable than I am. There
I
still
would
weren't
not
any
say
panties in the video, but still, it was amazing.
there were not any panties, and I am also disappointed in that. However, I do tell people on a regular basis, like the only reason why you think you haven't done it is because you haven't tried yet.
Point. Very good point. Very
That
good
might
point.
relate to the thing I was discussing earlier, but
The panty part, or you haven't tried it yet?
well, no, you haven't tried it yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, there is enough whiskey in me that I really don't care anymore about the life of anything. So,
No, we
I
are
mean,
definitely drunk. Both of us are
I'm,
drunk. Like, Jeannie,
yeah.
hi. Hi.
Hi!
We're in the same state. We're in the same state. It's okay. We're both on
Yeah.
drugs. It's fine.
I love this state that I'm in right now. Um, I got there a hell of a lot quicker than I thought I was going to. I don't know why. Because I can normally put 3 of these down and I can't walk. I'm really considering the fact that by the time I finish this one, I'm not going to be able to walk to bed. So I don't know how I managed to do it on 2, but a week ago I did it on 3 and a beer. So it's really weird what alcohol does to your system.
I had to pee, so I put myself on mute. But I will totally be hungover in the morning, and like the next time I get on a live, I'll probably just take an edible because who wants to be hungover, but also like, yay!
Exactly. Yeah, I've got a Dungeons and Dragons game in 10 hours. So, and it's like I don't have a fuck what I'm doing. So, this is going to be fun.
The unknown is always fun.
Yeah. Tomorrow night
Life
I'm
is
going to
creative and chaos.
tomorrow night I'm going to a sex club. So
I can
see,
also like. I love this for you. I
oh,
do.
cute. Well, I mean, it's a toss up between the sex club or the femdom group. So
Yeah, like there's a femdom group.
yes, we have 4 chapters. Oh shit. We have 4 chapters, one in Tulsa, one in Oklahoma City, one in Wichita, and one in Colorado.
When I tell you I was having a whole conversation today with like hot security guy that I should not, and he's like 2 years younger than me too, but I don't really care about that. It's more so just that he's married because I'm like, you're fucking hot. And like,
Zinga, did you see Legacy in here earlier?
I did. But no, he's like half
Legacy is like 3 years older than my oldest child.
I mean, but but like it was like him and like one like there are specific people at this company because I fucking hate this company. It's toxic as shit, but there's specific people that I legitimately like outside of work I'd be friends with you.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the managers at this place because I float. Like I'm not in the actual location, like I float around.
Right.
And like I've been there talking to him and I'm like, you know, hot security dude like steps in and I forgot what I was gonna say because like I really hate the fact that I think that he's hot, but he is motherfucking hot. I can't get away from it. Like I forgot. I
It's
love you
okay.
guys.
Shit. Look, I will be honest that there are people that whenever I get around them, it's like fuck thinking because it's not going to work. I can try to think, but it's no. So I understand completely.
Like he's definitely and he's 100% my type, which is very odd because I have not found my type. I
Yeah.
haven't dated. Like I have literally not gone out on a date in like probably 7 years
Yeah.
because I got depressed. Like I had dates back to back for like a 2 month period to the point where it's like I didn't even remember people's names. Like I had to look back through text messages like, what the fuck is your name? Where it
Right.
was like, I'm not going to take the time to remember your name until I know you're worth it. And none of them were worth it. And it depressed me. Like I got so depressed that I was just like, I'm done with you fucking weak ass that like fucking like I'm done. I'm done.
So I don't know what constitutes dating these days. And by the way, hi, Party Monster. How are you, hon? I don't know what
Is
constitutes
Demon
dating.
snoring?
Huh?
Hmm?
Did you fall asleep? Are you snoring?
No, my apnea is that bad.
Oh,
I'm still
okay.
awake.
Never
I'm
mind.
still
Sorry.
awake. That's breathing.
I'm sorry. I did not like. I couldn't tell. I was like, "Are you snoring?" I was like, "Go to sleep." I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I don't know what a date looks like in this century. So that tells you how fucking long it's been since I've been on a date. I can tell you that the last date that I went on was in the 90s. And so I don't even know what that looks like anymore.
Are you still like okay? So this is a real question. Do you still find people that you're like interested in? That there might be something there though. Like, do you still feel things?
Oh God, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I have
I know.
I have a person that now Legacy and I have been together for 2 years. In fact, our anniversary is next month. Or next week, not next month, next week.
Legacy and that.
Yeah,
fucking
Legacy
act.
and I have been together for 2 years. And I spend hours online with them every day. And I absolutely adore them and I love them. And you know, I admitted to them it was last night because it's midnight now. I admitted to them earlier that They are the only person who sees me all the time, and so they know what's going on.
That's huge.
So we have a very they are my partner. We have been together for 2 years, and they are my partner, and they help me regulate a part of my life. Now, they are in South Africa. They did come over here I picked them up on Christmas Eve at the airport, and they spent 3 weeks with me. And I loved that. And I'm looking forward to when they can come back over here, because now we actually have a place where we don't have to be with other people, because now I'm in my own place. I also have someone here in Oklahoma who is a friend with Benefits Plus. And it is more than just a friend. It is more than just a fuck buddy. It is someone who I have a lot of deep emotional attachment to. And beyond that, I'm not looking for more partners. I'm not looking for more friends with Benefit Plus. I'm looking for friends with benefits, yes. I would love to have people that I can build a friendship with, and ever occasionally we like to get crazy with each other. I love sexual intimacy with people. And I don't need to have that deep binding relationship with them like that I have with the other 2 people in my life, because those 2 people are enough for me right now. So yes, I do get connected with people. I do, but my friend with Benefits Plus is somebody that I met through a swingers club. So it only developed after that. We got into this space and we met each other. But it wasn't one of those things of, oh, hey, I find you interesting. Would you like to go out for a drink? I haven't had that. So I've kind of gone from no connection to a person with building a connection with a person and then going out with that person, which in my mind, that's not dating. That's just relationship development.
Yeah. Well,
right. And that's why I'm saying I don't know what dating looks like at this point in time.
yeah, because in my head, I'm I kind of feel like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm listening to this, and part of me is a little jealous, because it's you still, I could hear it where it's you still kind of get butterflies.
Yeah. Oh, look, Legacy, whenever I picked them up at the airport, it was just...
And I can see that too, because they're fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I can 1000% see that, where there is definitely a personality there that is just oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah. And then my friend Crystal, who actually every now and then floats through here, so, and she knows how I feel about her. She was here the other day, and what day was it? Thursday. She was here in town, and we went out, had lunch, went thrifting and antiquing, and spent, about 4 hours together. And she was late. She said, I'll be there about 12. Or I knew when she was going to be here, about 12. And she was late. And every time I heard something outside, I wanted to run to the window to see if that was her.
There's something about that I'm like, I'm so happy that you have that feeling. I'm so happy that you have that feeling.
Yeah,
That is like such an invigorating feeling to have.
it is. But then I'm on the flip side of that. I have those relationships, but then, you know, 6 days out of the week, it's like, look, are you safe? Do you accept transgender women? Okay, then good. Fuck me and I will suck your dick. I mean, come on. I mean, that's
Which
what
is
I'm.
Which is like, okay, so I guess this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
Is like when you look at experiences in life and you look at the gambit of joy, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, are you safe? Because I'll suck your dick. Like, those need to exist. Like,
Yep.
they have to exist. Like, there has to be, like, okay, whatever, this part of it exists.
Yep.
But being able to have a connection with someone and being capable of that and still being able, like, I feel like that trumps everything else, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, if you have these connections with these people that you feel safe with, like, everything in me is just like, I'm happy that you can feel those feelings because I know what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I am not, like, I feel like I'm not capable of it anymore. And, like,
Oh,
I
sweetie.
miss it. I miss it in a lot of ways. I definitely miss it. And I am genuinely happy to hear that, like, you have people that give you
Yeah.
butterflies. You have people that, like, make you want to go to the window. Like, are you here? Like, that is
Yeah.
such a fucking wonderful feeling to have. And then the flip side of it is the, okay, are you safe? Can I suck your dick? Are safe.
Yeah.
Like, those are the ones that are safe. So I get it. So it's like on all of the angles, it's like,
Right. And I forget that so many times because, and that's the downside of it, is that when I don't have one or the other is when I feel lost. Now, every morning when I wake up, the benefit of South Africa being 7 hours ahead is that I know that the moment that I can wake up, I can send a message to Legacy and I can say, "Hi, babe, how are you this morning?" And there are some times when I'm just totally excited when they respond back and say, "You available for a call?" And we will spend hours on a video call. Like, I'll eat supper and Legacy will be right there watching me cook and get ready for it and eat supper. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to watch Babylon 5. And Legacy's like, "Okay, I love you, kissy." And Legacy is over on their side of the camera crocheting. I'm on my same side of the camera watching Babylon 5. And like this last time, it was like 42 minutes into the episode and Legacy's like, "How you doing, babe?" And I'm like, "I'm good." And that is our day together. We're like an old couple, but we're an ocean and a hemisphere away from each other.
I mean, I guess to me, what I hear is a level of comfort where you don't need to fill in with words, which is important because I feel like, you know, having to always fill in the silence gets annoying as fuck to me.
Yeah.
So that's very important. But the other side of it too is like you kind of allow each other to be each other. Like, you want to watch Babylon 5, I want to crochet. Like, hey, I'm going to watch Babylon 5. Okay, cool. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to crochet and I'm going to do whatever the hell it is that I'm doing. And there is so much, there's a level of freedom in that, but also being able to know that, like, you know, there's another human being on this, in this world that doesn't mind if I'm just a little odd or if I just want to do, like, that's huge. That is,
I mean,
huge.
Legacy traveled from South Africa to Oklahoma during left on Christmas Eve,
Huge.
left Africa on Christmas Eve, left Oklahoma mid-January, and just loved those moments. If we weren't outgoing and doing things where I was showing legacy parts of Oklahoma, we would be there at the house, and I would be playing my video games, and they would just put their head on my shoulder and watch me play video games.
That is like such a comforting thing because, like, literally, I love you. I'm not going to Oklahoma for shit. But, like, also, just having, like, I've been there, done that. I'm good. But, like,
I get it.
having, like, that comfort of, like, oh, you're headed, like,
Yeah.
there's a level of intimacy that's there that, like,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't get to really experience that. So I'm so happy. Thank you. And they have like the most random personality ever. I was like, okay, like you're fucking hilarious. This is a fucking laugh.
They are. They get so excited over these little things. Like, I have my 3 dogs. They have a dog, and they can't wait to share a picture or video of their dog with me. And then I'm like, when we get back on a call and we start talking, and they're like, "Oh my God, I was so excited! They were so cute!" And oh my God, and it just, my heart.
Jeannie, you are fucking okay. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, like you're glowing. Like you're just like, yeah.
Hi, Ember. Hi. Yeah.
You definitely have people. You have specific people, and I love that because
And Ember, who just popped in here, is one of my platonic people.
I can tell because you lit up then too. I was gonna say, I'm like, you said it. I'm like, no, you totally lit up.
Ember and
hey, yeah.
It's like in the mornings, now I've been banned for the last week, but in the mornings, Ember and I will do almost like a morning show where we just sit there and we just talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. We may talk, oh, here she comes.
I'm gonna be like, hey, boo, hey.
Hi, hon.
Ember is always like, hi, Ember.
I have a migraine coming on right now, so.
Oh, hon, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. We have storms, so barometric pressure. Yeah, I just did my thing. So barometric pressure is off.
Are you in the Midwest too?
I'm in the
No.
Southwest.
Oh,
I'm
my
in
power
Tucson.
was out for 2 days. I got storms,
Tucson,
but I need
Arizona.
you to take something. Take something so that you feel better because
So-
I have family on AZ. I know.
I don't know how far Nzinga is, but I'm 2 in. So,
I'm 4 in. Catch up, mustard.
okay. No, 4 I would be nonverbal.
I'm like damn near a lot nonverbal. Like I've had like I switched back to like vodka tonic. I'm fucked.
Ember and I. Okay, so my happy juice is whiskey. That's my choice. Ember is 420. And if we are vibing on our juices of choice, fuck.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yes. I'm surprised that we have not been banned yet for when we get going
There's
like
been
that.
a couple times that they've wanted you to ban me.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to kick Ember out?
Right, yeah. Ember, yeah. But usually it's only because of the smoke that floats.
Is that what it's usually?
I swear to God, next time I'm just gonna take an edible and I'm just gonna be on here like, yo, let's talk
Oh,
about
shit,
that.
yes. Yeah.
Now, see, when smoking high and edible highs are 2 very different highs for me.
They definitely are.
So whenever I like smoke, you're gonna get a very giggly Ember out of me if we hit like that right moment. edibles are like a very body high, and I just get very like body high. Like my body just feels a lot better. But
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
no, I totally cut you off.
I forgot what I was.
I get giggly off of both of them because I'm a goofball in general, but I stopped smoking because I smoke cigarettes. I stopped smoking in November, so I refuse to smoke anything because I just don't want to break the seal, so I just
Yeah.
won't smoke anything. So I've just been doing edibles. So it's like yes to body high because I'm like, I'm giggly, but like I'm a goofball in real life, period. So like me on an edible is just fucking
So
colors.
whiskey gets me giggly. I love laughing whenever I'm on whiskey, and that's my drink of choice.
Whenever I'm on the whiskey.
But whenever I'm on the 420, whenever I'm doing edibles, that is usually to manage my anxiety. That's the only reason that I use it.
Use it for bedtime too, don't you?
Well, typically if my anxiety is up, I'll use a gummy for bedtime too, because it kind of keeps me up. So somebody's
want you
wondering
to
how
listen-
Cush's feet are. How is my darling niece?
Do you want her?
I mean, I would take her in a fucking minute and love her.
I finally caught her leg shaking after we got done doing our morning routine this morning, and I sent the video to her vet, and her vet's like, well, I can refer you to a specialist.
Oh,
Wait, leg shaking? My dog does that too. Like, what's the leg shaking?
It means they're in pain.
yeah.
So
Tyrion's done it since he was a puppy.
yeah, so her only being 2 years old, she shouldn't be in pain like this. So I really need to go find out what the fuck's going on. I can only imagine how expensive a fucking neurology specialist doctor is gonna be. Because
So I will say this.
go ahead.
Talk to your local rescue because they have a lot of resources, and if you go online to like Facebook and stuff like that, there are a lot of people that will be able to direct you to places that might be a little bit cheaper, and you may be able to start a GoFundMe too. Like, I will 1000% say that. So look into those things.
Yeah, I wouldn't start a GoFundMe. Like, I would figure it out. Like, GoFundMes are for like the super dust, like if she got hit by a car and I needed shit like now.
But
What?
Amber,
What?
I mean, fuck. I love my little niece, and I will send you money if I have it, and give you any opportunity to help her out, because I love you and I love her. So
Yeah, she's
other people are that way.
she's okay right now. She's
All right.
okay. Like,
All right.
because she's able to run, like she's able to do all of the things. She just shows some pain after exerting herself. I survive a little bit of pain. She can survive a little. Like, it's not a dire thing. If she wasn't able to run and she wasn't able to have like any, then that's totally different.
Fair. I mean, she is living her full life.
It's more like a sore paw after playing. Like, it's if I was concerned about it, like, but
Yep.
she's
Absolutely.
able to run full stride. Like, and she stands there and like she just kind of pops up the back. That's why I'm saying I think that it's something in her paw. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that she has like a strained tendon or has done something in her fucking paw.
Right. So, Ollie has bad knees. And I only know this because when he was still right around a year old, I took him into the vet because he was favoring one of his back legs. And the vet x-rayed it and said, yeah, his knee is fucked up. And he's going to have issues with that throughout his life. And I'm like, okay. So I will watch him and he will just go outside, go potty, and all of a sudden his leg is going, just 90 to nothing on the shake. And it's like, I feel bad for him, but there's not a fuck ton that I can do to be able to change that. I mean, dogs, you can't just go in and have orthoscopic surgery on a knee and replace it.
No, but for it being that bad, because hers is just like a slight tremor. It's not even like it's like a tremor. Anyways, with it shaking that bad, that's like showing like a lot of pain. Couldn't they do like some pain relief? Because there's pain relief for dogs. Couldn't you get?
They
pain?
could, but it's not all the time, and so it's just watching to see. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's all better. What it was in the vet was the one that diagnosed it or whatever, because she was getting in and out of the pool and then running on like rough decking. The vet called it deck rash. So she just tore because they were wet. So whenever I got that house, I need to get her some little water booties. Well, they won't be so little, but some water booties. Oh my god. The drama. What?
I love spending time with both of you, but I can't see straight.
Oh yeah, no, I need to go to bed. This migraine's starting to kick in, so.
Yeah. And I think I better go to bed before I can't walk to bed. So, I love both of you.
Love you too. Drink some water.
Yes, son.
Take-
Oh, too, Jeannie. I'm also back. I need to go to sleep. Amber.
Yeah, drink some water, take a Tylenol or some shit.
It will do.
Alright, talk to you later.
All right. Love you both. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.